What's up, guys? This is Hyce. How are we doing tonight, everybody? Here we are. It's May. It's the end of the month, and I'm gonna be busy in the following evenings. So we're gonna do office hours tonight. I would have been a little bit more prepared had I stared at my schedule more, but I've just been all over the place the past couple weeks here. So I had that moment where it was like, oh, if I don't do it tonight, I can't do it this month. So anyway, apologies on the late notice on that. And I know that there was one person asked a question on a separate video and said, hey, this is for office hours, and I've got that saved. But otherwise, we're going to be flying live, and I don't have Mickley because Mickley is editing the Railroads Online episode right now. I do have Sitz and Armagon in the MOW recording chat, who this is your warning that I'll be joining the chat shortly here. But we'll be getting into all of your railroad questions, of course, here this month. So see if we can't answer those. But before we get into it, looks like got a good assortment of folks here. Pilot Pagasi, 5 gifted memberships. Thank you for that. Washington Railfan with 1 gifted membership as well. Thank you. And Pilot Pagasi, Fireman for 5 months. Nice to finally make a stream stuck in an airliner flying home from work. And assist in breaking the economy, if and only in a small way. Carry on. Well, cheers to you. Tonight's beverage of choice is just Coke Zero. Not sponsored, but we're staying away from the spice. And ETW Gaming, welcome to the ESND Brakeman. Anyways, joining back into Discord chat, we have Armagon and Sitz here. Say hello, gents.
Hello.
Hello.
Anyways, we're gonna get into your railroad questions here and see if we can answer them. And ETW Gaming upgrading to conductor. Well, that was quick. Thank you. Okay. I don't know who asked it. Belfry Baker asked a couple times. Real easy one off the top of the thing here. 491 is built in 1928, so she's gonna be 95 next month, June 15th. So not quite that old, but still pretty old. So. And that one USA do it with a B. Yes, B. Very good. All right, well, I'm going to answer the one question, if I possibly can, that I had pre-asked. None of those were flying live, so I don't know if you guys want to watch chat and see if any good questions come up, Sitz and Armagon, and then go from there. So
I'm probably not going to be able to pay attention to chat because I'm actually working on an assignment for school.
Oh, I thought you were done. Are you not done?
No, I'm taking summer classes to do my foreign language requirement for my master's.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Well, then I'll do the best I can. Anyway.
I'll try to keep an eye on it.
I appreciate that, Sitz.
I'm trying to finish this as soon as possible.
I feel that. Highball5550 asked previously, you figured you'd post your questions for office hours. What determines the position of the eccentric crank in comparison to the location of the radius rod in the expansion link? Take 491 compared to the Georgetown Loop 40. What about Baldwin 26 with a normal eccentric crank position and inverted style radius rod? I'm not entirely certain what they're getting at. I'm assuming they're talking about the clock of the eccentric on Walshart's valve gear specifically. Let me pull up a picture of Georgetown Loop 40, and then I'll see if I can figure out exactly what we're getting at here. Because sometimes the eccentric leads and sometimes it follows. Just depends on the rest of the geometry and everything. 40 doesn't look like anything too crazy. Just depends on how it's... Let's see. Oh, come on. Stupid train photo websites that don't let you actually load the picture in full size. And that's a snapshot of a YouTube video. Very unhelpful. Don't you love it when you search for Google Images and then you can't actually click on any of them because Google hates you? So I guess we're going to deal with this. Let me see, where did... there we are. All right, so here's 40. You could say the rods are clocked about midway between back and bottom there. And the eccentric is leading the rods, and we're in forwards, presumably. Oh, maybe we're not, though. 40's weird. 40's got a weird setup with the valve crosshead being above the whole link here, whereas 491's different. So, like, really, the geometry of the eccentric and the way it's set up is to provide a 90-degree offset asterisk between the piston and the valve. And it's not necessarily exactly 90 because of geometry considerations. Let's see.
Oh, is 40 the Georgetown Loop one?
Yes.
I believe that one was retrofitted to have superheat, but is still outside admission. So that would explain why on the K37, the radius rod is above the valve stem, and on that it's below.
Right. Oh, that's exactly what that is. You're totally right. Yeah, so the valve crosshead on the K37, as Wings said, Wings and Strings has joined us. Welcome. The radius rod comes in above the valve crosshead because we're inside admission, but 40 is outside admission, which is the way that the slide valves were set up, and they converted it to piston valve. And I hate that I can't scale that picture. Oh, well, and it's flicker, so of course. But yeah, so they brought everything in there and inverted the action by having this flip on the other side of that joint. So that way you get that. And in order to keep everything happy there, your eccentric ends up being ahead of the rods versus here where it trails behind. But the whole point is you're getting that 90-degree offset. You can make that work either way. And with the K37, it's actually like 87 degrees. So like, I'm talking in degrees of rotation. So we have rod here, and then if you turn around about 90 degrees, okay, that's where the eccentric is actually grabbing its offset, is about 90 degrees back. I want to say it's actually 87 degrees, and that's because of valve gear shenanigans, for lack of a better term. Let me grab a snipping tool just to kind of show this.
Oh, is it because the radius rod is like 3 degrees below level?
Right, yeah, that's exactly why. Because the center line of the valve bore runs like this, and then your radius rod in neutral is below that because they couldn't fit it with the main reservoir. So what they did is they offset and accounted for that with the offset of the eccentric itself. So rather than being 90 degrees, it's like 87 degrees or whatever it is. Somebody who set one of these more recently than me would remember. I don't remember. But yeah, you have to account for that because it's not a square valve gear, because you don't have a perfect square between the center line of the piston, the center line of the valve, and then all of that mess there. So they had to make an adjustment factor for it. So fun valve gear question to start with there. So looks like chat's already gone off to the races here. So let's see if we can catch up on things.
I've got 4 questions I picked out of chat. Where do you want me to put them?
Just toss them in MOW VC text, and I'll just start going through them. I'm going to grab the top chats while we're here, though. Let's see. Peregrina, Evening Hyce and everyone, can you explain the difference between saturated steam and superheated steam engines and the effect this has on running them? Thank you. Yeah.
I don't have access to that, so...
Oh, you don't?
Nope.
Well...
I'll throw them in staff.
Yeah, just put them in staff chat, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Or, yeah. Okay. Okay, good question, Peregrina, and I have pictures that will really help because I was recently dealing with superheaters, and this is probably going to kick more questions off than it answers, but it's fine. So superheater units look like this, and that's a whole thing. So saturated steam engine, do I have a picture from further out? Let's see. I might. Yeah, I'm sure I do. Yeah, okay, this picture will work. Okay, so this is inside the smoke box of a certain Pacific on a certain railroad that maybe we'll chat about some more that I worked on last week, the Abilene and Smoky Valley 3415. But this thing is a superheated engine, and so on a saturated engine, you have the throttle valve in the dome, you have a dry pipe that comes up to basically a T, that then goes to these branch pipes, which are these big curvy pipes here that run down to the steam chest, valve cylinders, and everything. But the superheated engines have this intermediate step where the dry pipe runs to the superheater header, and it divides it into all these little superheater units that are basically 1-inch diameter Schedule 80 pipe that runs down the flues in the boiler all the way back to the firebox and then all the way back up to the front, and it recollects it. So you have a send on one side and a receive on the other side. And it goes down, comes back up, goes back down again, then comes back up. So you can see there's a return bend in there. So you actually send the steam from the header to the firebox, back to the header, back to the firebox, back to the header, then recollect it and send it back up into these branch pipes. So you're running the steam lines with clean steam from the boiler from after the throttle valve, or if you have a front end throttle, the front end throttle's built into the header, which is different. But anyway, clean steam from the top of the boiler, and you're sending it through the exhaust gases. And when the engine's working really hard, this takes the steam from, say 200 psi, 400-ish degrees Fahrenheit, to 200 psi, 7, 8, 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which means that you get a crap ton more expansion of the steam. The hotter the steam it is, the more it expands per its own volume. So when you move that piston with saturated steam, it expands a certain amount, and I want to say it's like 1,700 times its volume as water. So if you have a liter of water, it becomes 1,700 liters of steam, and then superheat expands that even further. So you can start to see how we volumetrically use steam, and it's more efficient with superheat. But basically, when it starts to get working pretty good, you charge the units up and you're making superheated steam that's ready to expand. Your boiler's not putting as much steam in as the engine's using, because the superheaters are kind of acting as like almost a capacitor to allow for more energy generation, because you're using the steam with better properties. So it expands more. So that's the basic difference between superheat and saturated. And operational differences is you just use a lot less water. And then if you have one of these ones where it's a steam dome throttle before all that linkage, it just means that your change with the throttle valve is a lot sooner, or a lot delayed compared to what actually happens at the cylinders. So you'll make a change in the throttle valve and it'll take it 3 seconds for that new pressure to get downstream to the engine, unless you've got an established backfeed of total saturation of fluid in the units, in which case it's like when you turn on your light switch. You've got a bunch of electrons that move very, very, very slowly, but because they're all butted up next to each other, when you flick the light switch, the electron at the light switch moves a little bit and moves all his friends all at the speed of electricity, and that moves and then turns the light on itself, actually. Electricity actually moves quite slowly when it's actually in a wire. The electrons are bouncing around like crazy, and they only kind of generally list towards the direction of the current, which is kind of a neat fact. So, same thing with the steam. Once you get it all charged up, you open it a little bit more, you'll see an immediate effect at the end. But if you don't have the units charged, you have a huge delay. Otherwise, there's nothing else really that's different operationally there. So, good question.
It's kind of like brake pot, but in reverse.
Kind of, yeah. Dimitri Boy 69, conductor for 4 months. What's my opinion on the Baldwin 1012D? I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I assume that our good man Armagon does,
yeah.
though.
If it's a 1012D and there's no fractions after the cylinder number, that's going to be...
Oh, it's the trench warfare 460Ts.
Oh, okay. Those are cute. Those are super cool. Yeah. Is that the one that they have down in California somewhere? Is that one of those?
That was I think a 262, not a 460. So that would be
okay.
It's almost the same as
It would be 10 something and a third.
It'd be like a 1012 and a quarter D.
That's
fun. It would be a quarter because it's leading trail. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that the Welsh Highland Railway of Wales, blah.
That one. Yes.
I believe that they just got one working. I don't know if it's owned by the railway or if it's just there on loan or it's somebody's expensive plaything, but I mean, it looks cool.
That's neat.
Really tiny drivers, like really small.
They are itty bitty drivers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tasha Reese, welcome to the ES&D Conductors. Zach Lightning, conductor for 3 months. Cheers to you. The Beeman, there he is, 1 year. Gold lamp Beeman, good for you. Year as a fireman as well, thank you. And then let's see. Oh man, it just keep dropping down. Gamerboy 1027203. Pro tip for Google Images: Control right click, open image in new tab, then do it. Okay, new tab. I knew there was a way to do it, and I could not figure it out in the moment. So, thank you. Knower Man. Hey, Hyce, you ever gonna build a 2.5-inch scale Zuma? Well, I plan on building the real one. That's what I plan on building. If I have to settle for a 2.5-inch scale, I guess I will.
You're building a 12-inch scale.
I'd like the 12-inch scale one. Solaris the Long Hauler Rail Fan, welcome to the Brakeman, and Caboose 1483, the man, the myth, the legend, almost to 6 months. Thanks, buddy. I need to get down and hang out with you still, but I've got yet another trip coming up, so
the cog boost now.
The cog boost, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna grab we're going to grab some of these questions that Sit's grabbed for us here, and then we'll get back to top chat things as we get. Rural Lifestyle asks, why did they switch most steam trains to oil burners instead of coal? I assume that means in modern day. And that's really just a logistical thing and a availability thing. Most coal produced these days is power plant coal, which is basically black dirt. And that's not ideal for firing a locomotive. And oil is in easy supply, getting recycled motor oil or French fry oil or whatever else. A lot cheaper, more common, and easy to get than coal is. Logistically, it's easier to transport. You just need a tanker truck versus some open-top dump truck that leaves a hazmat pile that needs a loader to load that into the tender or whatever. You just pump from truck to tender. So there's that. And then, of course, there's the fire mitigation thing where railroads like the Durango and Silverton ended up with the blame for big fires that caused a lot of damage, whether or not it was the railroad or whatever, who knows. But when you end up with that on the bill, it's like, okay, well, how do you prevent a fire? Well, you don't send flaming particles out the stack. And oil's a lot better for that. So those are probably the biggest reasons you see that sort of thing. Slandered Stone, what was the absolute fastest they ever managed to get on the narrow gauge, if you happen to know that is? I have no idea. If you can believe the chapter in Little Engines, Big Men, they were claiming that the T12s were doing 60 plus, which...
I mean, maybe on a runaway. There's two questions to that. Is what's
Right.
the fastest you've ever gone, and what's the fastest you can go twice?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are two very different.
Those are two very different questions. I would buy that during a runaway or something hits 60 plus, but I don't think they ever hit that fast for real. It's
I
probably
mean,
For the driver size, I'd say
40,
50
45
miles
or
an hour
50
is
so.
probably more realistic.
I mean, I've heard of a Shay doing 30 when you drop it down a well. So
Well, I mean, that's like, who was the first person to go 100 miles an hour? It's the first person to fall high enough to hit that.
Right, basically. I don't know. It depends on what kind of narrow gauge you talk about, because Cape gauge, I mean, there's stuff in Cape gauge that's done 100, right? So it's like, what do you mean? Do you mean the 3-foot gauge? From Slandered Stone, I assume he means the Rio Grande and 3-foot gauge. I would bet the fastest you saw in regular service was probably 35 or 40 and not much more than that. So, although if they had an excuse to run the T12s down the valley line, they would have scooted with that. But yeah, I don't know how often that would have been a thing. So, a boost.
25 in a T12 yesterday.
I bet you were.
There you go.
They wanted to boogie on back.
Sometimes you gotta pee. Come on.
I mean, also on a 4%
Circling
grade,
back
you
to
could go
the
faster.
oil versus coal and power plant coal, the Germans actually converted some of their engines to run on pulverized coal,
Oh,
and it
weird.
was actually really successful.
Well, that's a little adventurous. So,
Actually, I have one on the subject of coal.
yes.
So yesterday, we actually had to stop several times to build heat because they said the coal that they used was from last season and it's just not burning hot enough like it usually does. Even one of the 480s had to stop and build coal going up the pass.
Okay.
What do you know about that?
That sounds like an excuse for a fireman, if I ever heard one.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I've never run into that, and we sit with, coal from, 6+ months ago in the
I mean,
pile
if it's
sometimes.
really, really shitty coal, and all the volatiles have just gone away. But that's
Maybe.
like the problem with brown coal.
Right, like that's certainly possible. I mean, I don't know, but I would more so believe that would be a an excuse more than anything else.
I'll have to show you the amount of smoke coming out of the stack. Oh,
Well, I mean, fireman could have choked it, too. It's not making steam. More coal. Yeah, so...
According to Jersey, allegedly one Camelback did burn sand in order to get back to the shops.
God,
We're making glass! It's fine.
all the clinker.
oh boy.
Okay, Goofy Critter's got a good question here. Hey, Hyce, what's the difference between light rail and regular passenger trains like the Acela? Light rail is a strange, silly thing, and light rail has nothing to do with the rail, which is also funny.
Headways and throughput.
Kind of. So light rail is specific to the light rail vehicles that operate on light rail, where you're talking about a low floor vehicle typically, or a vehicle that's designed with a lower platform in mind. narrower loading gauge and much more power to weight ratio to actually operate. Different operational schema, and every car set is powered versus something like a conventional train, which is locomotive and cars, etc. Light rail is designed to be really flexible, intercity, fast headways, that kind of thing. And the rail is actually the same rail. Our stuff at Sound Transit was a 136-pound rail for the light rail, which is the same as the heavy stuff on the main. So it doesn't make a bit of difference for the rail. It's all about the vehicles themselves. So it's definitely a neat thing. I'm sure there's a more specific definition than what I just gave, but it's about using multiples of the same type of unit, not as a streetcar, but as an actual light rail vehicle that's a purpose-designed, easy acceleration type thing. So, yeah. And then let's see. I'll get the last one from that chat there, and then we'll get top chats. Jake the Train Guy 4472, what was the biggest narrow gauge loco that you know? I don't know. That's a better question for Armagon or Wings, I would imagine. That I know, I mean, the biggest one that I know personally is 491, but I know there's bigger ones.
I would probably point to Brazil, to their meter gauge. For rigid frame, they had some 410-2s and 210-4s, which looked pretty good. But then for articulades, they had those 2884 Yellowstones, which just defy all explanation.
Meter gauge Yellowstone. That's probably got to be it.
Well, it's either that or it's probably one of the Cape gauge South African Garretts.
Oh yeah, those.
Or maybe the East African Railway 59 class, because those things are huge.
Yeah, if we're talking just length, like another contender might be the class 26 condensers.
Right.
Yeah.
25 condensers, I think, because the 26 was the Red Devil, which was the non-condenser class.
Right. Peregrina, thank you. It must be a nice advantage because you heads, that's a lot of extra pipe. Yes, yeah, superheat is a huge efficiency thing. Definitely a challenging thing to get to work with, though, that's for sure. Glenn Holland, Age of Steam and or Lego Train content when? Good to see you streaming again. Be well. Thank you. I need to hit you up because I have dates when I'm going to be in Ohio. So I need to chat with you about that. Ping me offline and we'll chat about Age of Steam, Lego content when I can bug Brett enough to film Lego Train stuff. So. And then look, Khan showed up for a minute. I don't know if he's still here, but he was here at least. I had to deal with him all day. We were playing Railroads Online. It was very fun. B&O 7611, engineer for 4 months. Good evening, Hyce, and everyone went in chat. Just hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. Yes, so far so good. Scrolls down in chat, sees the all caps. What's your favorite Steam locomotive? All right, that's the end of the stream. Bye, everybody. Just kidding. Oh, goodness. Brent Hinshaw, fireman for 12 months. Look at you, Gold Lamp. I've been out of the loop for a while, and this might have been brought up already, but how does it feel to have a video finally break 1 million? Also, happy 1 year anniversary to you. Yes, happy 1 year anniversary. Good God. 1 million views on that coupler video. I mean, that hit that in like a month. It was kind of insane, and it's still getting a lot of views to each day, and it's like, it's kind of crazy to see. Like, it wasn't something I expected to take off at all, and then there it went. It's been cool. It's neat to have one that's a million plus. It feels like an achievement. So much appreciated. Thank you. Let's see. And the last on the top chats here, Sir Liv. If you could go back in time, who do you think railroad history or preservation would have been better off without? I think Perlman. Perlman's is the one, right? He got rid of all the grand stuff and he got rid of all the New York Central stuff. So he's the one easy answer as one person that you could get rid of. But, you know, that might have changed the course of the railroads as well. So hard to say. So
I mean, if you're talking people historically, I don't know. Like anyone who used railroads for bad shit. You know, maybe like Cecil John Rhodes types.
Right. Okay.
That becomes a tricky question.
It does. It's hard to say. And let's see. Catch up on the last couple top chats here, and then we'll get back to the couple questions Sit's grabbed here. Daniel McKee, hey Hyce, was there ever a point when narrow gauge ceased to be economically viable and standard gauge was more necessary economically or otherwise? A, thank you for the wonderful top chat. I really appreciate that. And B, it was very quickly more economical to do the standard gauge thing because everyone talks about the narrow gauge was done to be cheap, and the railroad maybe saved a little money on the start of the thing, building the alignment at the beginning. But then you realize towards the 20s, and they get, the Rio Grande gets the big Ks, they're as wide or wider than many standard gauge engines. So the right-of-way had to be that wide anyway. They're hauling and transloading and dealing with all that crap, and they run into the same problem of, okay, well, I'm maintaining a narrow gauge car. It's still 8 plane bearings. Yeah, they're a little bit smaller, but it's still 8 plane bearings that I have to maintain. It's still trucks that I have to, 2 trucks that I have to remove, whether they're standard gauge or not. And so the Rio Grande quickly found that the narrow gauge was not necessarily any cheaper to actually operate, which is why over the history of the railroad, you'll see that they standard gauged a lot of the original alignment. The original alignment out of Denver was 3-foot gauge, down to Pueblo, Walsenburg, over La Vita Pass. That still exists. It's just standard gauge now. They standard gauged it early, super early. And only the really crazy remote Rocky Mountain portions of things stayed narrow gauge, and the only reason it stayed narrow gauge is because the traffic didn't justify making it standard gauge. So they definitely ran into that point for sure. And the reason it stuck around for so long towards the end was because the ICC wouldn't let them get rid of it. They wanted to get rid of it, and they kind of stopped maintaining stuff to any sort of standard in the mid-50s. And it just it just sort of went to heck, and they kept running the trains because they had to, because they were the only way to really move that amount of freight, and standard gauging it wasn't going to be the thing. So good question. I hope to cover more of that sort of stuff with the future of some videos on the channel talking about historical stuff. Oh god, we gotta put up with this guy in VC.
Okay. I just spent the last 5 minutes. You mentioned dropping a Shay down a well. So I decided to work out the terminal velocity of the Shay if you drop it. As well as, based on an average 1900s well depth, would a Shay in fact reach terminal velocity by the end of the well? So I've done some math. I'd like to share it with you guys. I feel like this is really great. So couple of variables right off the bat. We're going to assume the Shay has a frontal area of 2 meters squared. I looked it up. It's like a 3 by 5 foot boiler. That's roughly the same thing. 20,000 kilogram of weight. They varied between like 5 and 50 tons. So, perfect. Gravity, 9.81 meters per second squared. Density of air, 1.293 kilograms per meters cubed. And a drag coefficient of 1, which is the same average drag coefficient of a falling skydiver. I figured a Shay and a skydiver probably pretty similar, right? So anyway, if you work out the math using the terminal velocity formula, which is of course the terminal velocity is equal to the square root of 2 times, the weight of the engine and the gravity divided by the area and the density of air and the drag coefficient, you end up with the Shay has a terminal velocity of 389 meters per second, which is 1,400 kilometers an hour, 871 miles per hour. Now, with the average well depth of 250 feet, 75 meters, the Shay can in fact reach 38 meters per second by the time it hits the bottom of that well, which is 85 miles per hour, 138 kilometers an hour. Now, of course, everyone wants to know, how far do you actually have to fall to hit terminal velocity? The answer is 7,733 meters, or 7.7 kilometers, and the Shay would hit terminal. So theoretically, if you dropped a Shay out of a plane, it would hit terminal velocity.
So Khan,
I'm just imagining a rod from God, but with just a Pacific Coast special getting dropped out of a C-130.
You're telling me that we need to build a railroad up to the top of Everest, and we need to run a Shay off the side.
Pretty much. But no, what I'm telling you is if you drop a Shay down a well, it will in fact go faster than 30 miles an hour. It'll go like 85. You'll be great. You'll be going 86 miles an hour by the time it hits the bottom of that well.
and when it hits the bottom of that well, it'll be just like maintaining a Shay normally. Absolutely fucked.
But that's only if the Shay falls perfectly vertically. If it falls horizontally anyway, then the area is thrown off, the drag coefficient would be less, right? That's a whole... I have a spreadsheet though I can send you. You can plug in your own variables and it'll work out for you.
All right, so put a vertical and horizontal stabilizer on the Shay. Got it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
You said dropping a Shay down a well, and I was like, you know what? I wonder what the terminal velocity of this is. Now, of course, this assumes like constant air density. It assumes constant acceleration, etc., etc. But you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty close.
That's solid back of the napkin there, Con. Much appreciated.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Is what
So-
I'm here.
Are we inaugurating a new kinetic weapons program for the ESG?
Dropping the Shays.
We're dropping Shays through the
Hold on,
plane.
let me see if I can.
We have to choose objectively terrible Shays, though, because I'm not going to sacrifice
Shay
one
through
Shay.
the planet's core.
Oh God,
That-
you've made Shay Theon.
All right. Anyway, I gotta go pick up the fiance from an appointment, so I gotta go. I really wanted to work out the terminal velocity Shay map because it was really.
We appreciate
He's
that. Con.
he came,
Yeah.
he saw, he shit post, he left. Thanks, Con.
Yeah, pretty much. Have a good one. See you guys.
Host.
See ya.
Okay. Oh, that's yeah. That's that was the thing. That was the thing. Okay, well we now know that the terminal velocity of a Shay is objectively too fast. Lordy, get back to the top chats. Adam Cordell. Hey Adam. Back in the 40s, and then the CC&C was on a run back to Chehalis when they ran out of Bunker C. They allegedly tore apart a fence trackside to get back to town. That sucks. That sucks. Why didn't they just run it without a fire in it? That sounds like something that a certain someone at that institution would do. It's fine. Tasha Reese, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Let's see. Did we get no? Okay. Chat jumped down. Here we go. Eric Larson, congrats on 70K. Hope we get K37 tacos soon. I should do tacos on the scoop. That'd be delish. Yeah. Yeah, we got to do that. And then Tasha Reese with Con! It's too bad that he's gone already, but yeah, that was great. Lordy. Yeah, I still don't even know what to say to Con's Shay post. So
Shade post.
Shade post. Yes. Very good. All right. Jumping back to the questions here, Jacob Ramsey asks, I was watching a locomotive or video about steam locomotives, not a locomotive about steam videos. Yes. And the video said if the locomotive is properly maintained that it could run forever. Is this true? I mean, Ship of Theseus.
Define forever.
Ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to wear the bearing. Like, you will have to replace parts. How are you defining run? Like, if it's continuously moving forever, no. There's laws of physics that you can't get around there. Could you keep one running for a good long time? Could you keep one in service for a long time if you're changing parts? Sure. You're gonna change a boiler at some point, though, and that's the Ship of Theseus thing. Welcome to preservation. What is
changing the
important?
sections?
Yeah, what's original?
Slowly.
So, who
It
knows?
becomes-
But good question. Peanut the G-Dog. Hiya Hyce, I've been designing a Pacific to 3D print for fun, and you want the running gear to be accurate wall shirts. Is there an equation or general rules for creating running gear that would work? I don't think there's a singular equation, but you'd want to get some geometry figured out from something, from some resource out there. Like, there's a lot of stuff for live steam engines that will get you close for valve gear stuff. Most everything else for valve gear ends up being books, which I've finally started sinking and reading, and I've been learning things in my spare time here, which is limited, so, you know, details. But definitely check out, there's, what's that website that has all the valve gear demonstrations? Let's see. There is...
Mark, you should maybe flash this on screen and give the image link for that.
Yes, where... Oh, or that. Okay. These are equations that I haven't seen before, so I didn't know that these were equations, but this is pasted out of a book. But yeah, there you go. This. Do that. Thanks, Wings. It's unsurprising.
Let me see if I could find the site for that.
Right. Copy and paste that down. There you go.
I put it in chat.
Yeah. Okay, you put...
There's
okay.
a lot about geometry there.
Did you... If you put it in the YouTube chat, you can't unless you're a mod. So it probably got snipped. I mean, I can make you a mod, but...
It looks like it
something
posted,
else.
it just didn't form a hyperlink.
Really? I don't
like,
see a
let me
post from
post
you anywhere.
It let me post the text.
I do not see a message from Wings and Strings in the YouTube chat on my end, so
It might have just
might have slurped it.
Yeah, I think it ate it.
Yeah, copy and paste the link into here somewhere, and I'll paste it, and then we'll go there.
There we go.
And or just comment something normal, and I can make you a mod on the stream, which you should have been already, and then you should probably be able to post stuff. But okay, copy link. Oh, I think Don Ashton's actually the website that has the rest of the all of the yeah. Oh, no, this is not the resource I was thinking of, but this has a bunch of really, really good stuff for Valve Gear things, which I also need to read up on. So there you go. Thank you, Wings.
No problem.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's math. I've not done that math before, so... That's not math you end up doing while you're operating locomotives that have existed for 100 years. So, anyway. Let's see. Let me catch up on the top chats here before they run away. And then we'll go from there. Scott Miller, dream train trip you'd like to make. Hi, Scott, by the way. I don't know if I have a dream trip that I really, really want to do. I mean, I want to go run trains more places, but just for a fun trip to ride. I do kind of want to ride the Rocky Mountaineer, but that's very expensive. So I guess that would count as a dream trip. It'd be fun to go. I know they do a trip up to Banff, and that would be like stupid pretty fun. But Solaris, the long hauler rail fan. What about donuts? I don't know. What about them? They're tasty. And Ezekiel, ES&D engineer for 7 months. Good man. Thank you. Sir Liv, have you seen any currently operating Cuban Steam, and how does it make you crap your pants, and how is this not blown up yet? Terror. I haven't seen it yet, and maybe I don't want to see it if it's crap your pants tier, but that's fine.
I mean,
I don't think I've seen.
Don't sell Cuban Steam stuff short, because like they've done like some of the only successful conversions of fire tube boilers to fireless and like had it workable. Like
Strange.
There's some crazy stuff going on that like is genuinely impressive. Like it's not all just
not all
rusty
jank.
and terrifying.
Yeah. It's not, and not all that is crusty and jank is as terrifying as people make it out to be, but...
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas. Anyway. Sukania, look up Dockstader's Valve Gear. There's animations. Oh, thank you. Oh, Dockstader, I think that's who I was looking for the animations of all those different things. Yeah, Dockstader Valve Gear Sims. Yeah, that's the other one. That's the one that I was thinking of, and that gives you... those sorts of things. So thank you for you remembering that. I would have had to go look for the files, and then I could have gotten that. So
I gotta finish my Valve Gear Sims at some point too.
You do. And God, oh, wow, Ezekiel, thanks, man. Good God, 50 memberships gifted. There it is. The economy has been broken. Wow, thank you. I mean, goodness, it's been a minute since we've had one like that. So thank you so much, Ezekiel. And cheers to 7 months. That's awesome. All right. Getting back into the questions here. Was that... Hang on, did Tyler... Is that the fireless engine that was not a fireless?
This is one of the fireless engines. I don't know if this was non-fireless to start.
It looks so silly.
It's something, alright.
It looks so silly. It's just a tube.
That is a heckin' chonker.
It's just... that's very silly. Anyway. Discord Draconicus. I threw the shot at that. What do you think the U.S. would be like if it went through the Beeching Act? Beeching Act was British Rail chopping a large amount of branch lines to make the system more efficient and profitable. May I point to you? May I point to you? Precision scheduled railroading.
Yes.
Same things. Rolliston Rails, what are your thoughts on the Fell incline system? I don't know what it is. There you go. James, new train fan. Are there fail-safes for a steam engine that can extinguish a firebox in case of an emergency like a rollover? Some steam engines have what's called a fusible plug, which is a brass plug that will melt at a lower temperature than the steel will get damaged at, that if the water level gets too low, i.e. if the engine rolled over or otherwise, the plug will melt and then the steam will rush in and put out the fire, is the thought behind them. But lots of engines don't have them. Like every engine I've ever worked on does not have a fusible plug. So I honestly don't know why. They seem like a smart thing to have, but shrug.
Seems like more of a European thing.
Right.
Notice that as well is a lot of times they weren't large enough to actually extinguish the fire. It just give you a decently loud hiss and you just go, oh shit, crap your pants.
Time
Do
to
everything
jump
you
off the
can to-
engine, yeah.
Exactly.
Except for that one German crew that melted two. I'm sorry, they melted one and then one didn't work and then they went bang.
Yeah, that's something,
That
alright.
is
Right.
certified whoopsie moment.
All right, let's see. The Hoff. Hi, so off topic, yourself and others wonder why a lot of equipment is going through a reference to being in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Strasburg Railroad does a lot of contract mechanical shop work. So a lot of engines go out there to get restored and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, there you go. Other than that, I don't know. And Snow Ninja Sandcat, how does the museum get new train stuff that go on the tracks? Truck? Yes. Yeah, trucks bring stuff in, except for 2 cases that I can think of. The tunnel motor got walked down 44th Avenue by 4 side boom cats. And there's video of that, moving tunnel motor into the museum, by Richard Kaburski on YouTube. He's a volunteer of ours on Thursdays. If you search that up, you can see that video, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, 5629, which got stabbed in on the end of a freight train. But almost everything else came in on truck. So, all right, let's check these top chats here because I've seen a couple here. Peregrina Boilers 101. When someone keeps asking what a crown sheet is, I want to know what a throat sheet is. Seems like there's material there. Hint, hint. Yeah, I figured that I caught most of that in the original Steam 101, but I guess we should probably just do that. Real quick, I mean, this is super easy. I mean, we don't have to do anything crazy here. I've got my paint.net going. So we'll do the exterior of the boiler in black. So you have the back head. You have the wrapper sheet. The wrapper sheet climbs up and over. And then the back head usually has a corner that runs around, and then the wrapper is usually riveted to it. Sometimes they're welded these days. But wrapper sheet goes up over top on the outside. Then you have the barrel that goes up front. If the barrel's made up of multiple pieces, it's called a course. So this would be the first course. This would be the second course. And a lot of times you also have the steam dome, of course, in there. So then this would be called the dome course. This would just be called the first course. And so you have the steam dome there, and the steam dome is usually fabricated out of about 3 different parts, depending on the type. I mean, there's other types, but you have the actual collar, then you have the main part of the dome there, and then the shoulder at the top. And then there's an opening for maintenance and everything, and then an actual cap that goes on top of the steam dome. And then we have a throat sheet, which is this part of the boiler at the front of the firebox. And then the mud ring, which goes around the back, or around the sides. It's the whole bottom of the firebox is the mud ring. And then you have side sheets down the side. And so usually you've got rivet seams and stuff going there. Sometimes they're flanged together. It just depends. Boilers are just big pairs of pants. That's really what's going on there. On the inside, in the firebox, we'll do it in red. You have the door sheet right here with the door, fire door. You have the interior side sheet, and then the crown is the top of the firebox on the inside. And then interior side sheets, interior throat sheet, door sheet, all that sort of stuff. You have the tube sheet, which might be inset in a combustion chamber, might just be at the front, whatever. You have the rear tube sheet here at the firebox, which is at the front of the firebox, but the rear of the barrel. Kind of confusing. But you have the rear tube sheet, and then you have the front tube sheet. And the front tube sheet's the front piece up here where all the boiler tubes go. And that's your boiler crash course. Any questions?
Yes. Why is it called the mud ring?
That's where all the mud goes. That's where all the junk builds up. Yeah. It's not necessarily mud, but it certainly can look like it sometimes. When you boil water, silt and sediment and all sorts of stuff is going to bake off. And when you're boiling pasta on your stove, you're not using enough water to generate a whole lot of it. So you don't notice it, and then you can just rinse it out. But when you're in a pressure vessel right here, it has to go somewhere, and it collects. And it tends to collect in the belly of the boiler on the underside here, or down in the mud ring. So you'll definitely have washout plugs all the way around that mud ring to rinse that out and rake all that nastiness out. And you'll typically have a blowdown valve somewhere down towards the bottom of the mud ring somewhere to evacuate that space and blow that junk all over the side of the highway next to you. So, yeah. There you go.
Thermic siphons.
Thermic
Just include
siphons.
that
Oh,
first.
siphons are fun. I guess this is the whole fun of other boiler stuff. Boiler stuff you see on the narrow gauge. A lot of engines have arch tubes, which are just tubes that run like this. And they'll have big plugs on both sides so you can wash those tubes out. So that's kind of an arch tube, and the whole point of an arch tube is to hold up the arch brick that gives you a defined flow for your fire. So your exhaust gases, when you have an arch tube, let's say you put your arch tube in like this, looks something like that. They're usually more curvy, whatever. There's arch brick that sits between these arch tubes and then the side of the firebox. And so the air path for air from the front of this fire now has to go up and around that arch to get out. So you spend more time heating the air, more time burning the volatiles in the firebox. And if your fireman sucks and he draws cold air, you got a long time for that cold air to warm up before it hits the tube sheet and breaks stuff. So arches are a really important efficiency and safety thing. As Randolph said, we also have thermic siphons, where you basically have the same thing as an arch tube, except it goes to the crown instead. And then instead of just being a tube, it also has a fanned, stayed area that's built into it. So you have this tube portion, but then you have basically a thin, stable, constructed actual piece here. So water can flow and steam can flow through all of that. And it causes a convection current in the boiler because there's such a demand for that water to get rocketed up through there because you got all the heat packed in right next to the siphon. It rapidly heats the coldest water in the boiler at the bottom. Remember, heat rises, cold goes down. Rapidly heats it up, causes it to rocket around the boiler and keeps things circulating from that heat and that additional area for the water and steam to flow. So siphons are super cool. You also have circulators, which are kind of like siphons, but they go from crown to side sheet instead. They kind of look like a Y. Let's see, and I have pictures of circulators because I saw some in person for the first time last week. There you go, circulators in a firebox. There wasn't too much lighting in there, but yeah, they kind of look like a wishbone from the crown sheet to the side sheets. So you get the coldest water down in the mud ring, and it bring it up. You get a heating convection that way. They're not quite as efficient as siphons, but siphons are harder to make, and siphons also tend to mess with the geometry of the stay bolts a little bit more. And as well, if you've got a really big firebox like this one, it may not be possible to put the siphons in, and siphons don't necessarily play as nicely with a oil fire as they do with a coal fire. So, all sorts of fun boiler stuff. That was probably enough to confuse everybody, so. So yeah, we should probably do that for a video at some point because that's that's a whole thing. Let's see. Jack Morgan, as a light rail foamer, which light rail transit system do you dislike most? You yourself love the St. Louis Metrolink, and Seattle and Denver both annoy you. Love your work and I love to talk about weird urban rail. I mean, I haven't had too much experience with other systems. I mean, obviously I helped design some of the stuff on the Seattle system. There are some goofy choices on the Seattle system, so I can understand your your viewpoint there. The Denver system's interesting as well, and it makes a bunch of other goofy choices. So I can understand those. I'm not familiar with the St. Louis Metrolink. The one that I really enjoyed using as a user of the service was Washington, D.C. I thought that was great, although I don't know if that's technically light rail transit or a subway, but either way, yeah, I don't know if I have a specific one that I like the most, but I could tell you all the things that I don't like on on the systems I've experienced. So anyway, good question. Sam Osborne, engineer for a month. You made it through a month. You're a red lamp. Thank you. Much appreciated. Joshua DePay, brakeman for 11 months. The gold lantern shall soon be mine. Harchie Hyce. Thank you, mate. And Ezekiel with another 50 memberships. Good God, man. He is breaking the economy tonight. He is shattering it. I don't even know what to say. That's 100 just this stream. It's been God, I've had some sadness about how the YouTube's been doing. The ad revenue's been kind of garbage this past month, if we're being completely honest. So you're touching my heart today. So thank you. Let's see. And did we get down to things here? Mechanical logistics, brakeman for 5 months. Good to see you. Still a red lamp, but you're almost there to the, I think you get the blue lamp next at 6 months. And then 12 months, you get the gold frame. And then the sexy mantis. Hyce live. Guess I know what I'm watching tonight. Cheers. Cheers to you. So. Anyway, back to the questions that Sit's getting. Anime train artist. How does the railroad really operate? As Sit said, poorly. Yeah. The railroad, the saying that I have always heard used to describe the railroad is that the railroad makes money in spite of itself. Just like how do the trains keep moving when everything goes wrong and the planning is just not great? Like, it's surprising what the railroad does. But at the end of the day, they're the only thing that can move that much freight that efficiently. So yeah, the railroad makes money in spite of itself. There's so many little screw-ups and weird things that happen in the railroad day to day that it's just like, how is the railroad not ended somehow? So let's see. Goofy Critter. Hi, I don't know if this has been asked, but what is the effect of sloshing water in the boiler other than the water glass level changing? The sloshing water, I mean, it might expose things that, like front tube bundle, it might expose the crown briefly if you really slosh it a bunch, but it doesn't make much of a difference for you because you can actually have that stuff exposed for a decent amount of time before a huge problem occurs. So just a gentle slosh back and forth, as long as the water level's high enough, isn't a big deal. If you have the crown exposed for a long time and you slosh water onto it, it can rapidly cool and chill the crown sheet, and that can cause an explosion from work hardening it like that and making everything brittle, which is not great. But just if you're just generally sloshing, I mean, you're changing the water level all the way through, and it's helping to circulate water. It's not doing much else with that. So there's not too much of a operational effect otherwise.
Good image of the worst case scenario.
Yeah, good. Yeah, the worst case scenario is you let the crown get exposed too long, and then you slosh cold water over it. But you say that, and then you also realize that there's shit like the Rio Grande did, where they had a 10% grade on a spur at the end of a spur that was a Y, or something, a switchback, something, and you'd brig out the train. They had some engine that they used specifically for it. At the end of the cut of cars, run it wide open, absolutely full open in reverse, all the way in the corner in reverse, work it as hard as you can, and you couldn't carry the water above the crown sheet going in reverse that steep. And so they just run the crown exposed for as long as it took them to back the whole train up the siding, throw the switch with the brakeman as quick as they could, and then get back down off the level, and they never blew the engine up, so... It's like, you kind of have to try a little bit to some extent, you know? Obviously, it's...
Honk. Danger.
It's
Honk,
one of
by the
those...
way.
Honk! It's Goose!
I was going to say, the Porterfield and Ellis also existed, which had a 20% grade.
20% grades
Oh,
that they
God.
just ran on, and like, it's a thing of everyone heard, okay, don't expose the crown, and it's a safety thing, and it's preached as a, don't do this absolute, because it means chance of explosion, which, I mean, that's a great thing to preach for safety, but the reality of the thing is, it's not like, okay, you expose the crown sheet, now the engine blows up. Like, there are many factors that go into this. And typically safety culture is just preach the worst case so that everyone understands not to do the thing. So
they basically ran it down 20%, got it up to somewhere between 60 and 100 miles an hour, and rocketed up the next 20% grade with all that energy, likely exposing a large amount of the firebox in the process.
Yeah, the Porterfield was definitely the
Jersey.
guy like men. Also, Jersey's here. Hi, Jersey.
Hi.
All right, let me catch up on top chats. Oh, good God, Ezekiel!
Holy shit!
Another
Oh my-
50. Okay, man.
Midland's being beat.
We don't need to be mean to Midland. Midland's a sweetheart. But man, Ezekiel, I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna have to put your name on another camera. Wow. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. Yeah, it's been a month with YouTube and then my car having some sad times. So like, genuinely, really means a lot to me this month. So I appreciate that. And Mickley popped in to plug the Discord. Mickley's chained to his desk with a ball and chain editing Railroads Online footage right now for you guys tomorrow. That's the only reason I'm able to be live. And Peregrina, haha, so Boiler 101 might wander into the calendar after all. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, honestly, they should. And it'd be fun to show maybe when we got 20 open. We're doing 20's annual next week or the week after. Maybe I'll try and get some of that filmed and show that off. That'd be fun. We'll have
You
to
should
see
show
because
off
I'm
the weird firebox.
the lopsided firebox on 20. That's fine. She's been that way for a while, presumably.
Hopefully.
It's called character, Jersey.
It's fine. Do I have?
love 20.
I do love 20.
20's a great choo-choo.
I love
but yeah,
all
sure.
the engines at the museum.
Her firebox is definitely not symmetrical, and we're not sure if that was Schenectady that messed up when they were making it, or if that was when she rolled over that it got worse. I would believe either, honestly, but I don't know, because they rolled 20 bad. I saw the pictures and I didn't realize how far they rolled it over, but they sent it when the RGS rolled 20 over. I mean, she went all the way over, almost upside down.
That wouldn't get damaged like that. That would be like, holy shit, you bent the entire frame and now the mud ring is crooked.
Well,
But
that's kind of what it is. I don't know. It's probably more likely.
Did it actually roll that bad?
It rolled. I mean, they put a giant dent in the boiler barrel.
Well, yeah, but that was like a completely different section.
Yeah,
Well,
but
holy
like you
shit,
could have
Ezekiel.
the weight of that stuff. So, anyway,
I don't know.
Dave sucks, by the way. Apparently, this is a picture from 2015. Dave does not suck. I'm assuming that means Dimitrovich. He's the CMO at EBT. Dave's good people. But yeah, if you look at 20's backhead, this is from Schenectady, presumably, unless it was that wreck. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it got creased, so I kind of doubt it's from the wreck. But people have different schools of thought. The radius here is a lot sharper on the fireman's side than it is on the engineer's side. It's hard to see from these angles, and I wish I had a straight-on shot, because I don't.
I thought you did.
I don't. No, I literally don't have a straight-on shot, and you can't see it without the cab being off. You could see that this hip joint, though, when you draw straight across, is crazy in a different spot than this one. I mean, it's off by like 6 inches. So, yeah, they messed up flanging that and figuring that out back in the day. So, yeah, I wish I had a straight-on picture, but I never got one. Unless I took one in like
Pop the hood.
2019 when I last saw it at the museum, maybe before it had the cab and everything. Perhaps. I don't know. I could look through my pictures, but I was busy filming pictures of engines that were running at the time, apparently.
Excuse me, Randolph. What are you? What?
Insular Lumber Company.
Don't you?
What?
What? No. Why? Why you do this?
What the hell is this?
Why you do this?
Why is there fire shooting out from the running gear?
Shay's, man, not even once.
There's more fire coming out of this than steam.
Yeah, man. That's okay for service. That looks like it's straight out of
no.
D-Roll Valley.
That is the tactical Shay that we drop out of a plane onto our enemies.
That is the one that needs to hit top
Tactical
speed.
Shay.
Yeah, perfect.
So we'll get that over to
That
Con so
Shay
he
looks
can
like
run
it's
some
not a fucking
numbers.
choo-choo
They
Charles.
They couldn't put racing flames on it, so they just made actual
They
flames.
just made actual flames. Yeah, okay, that tracks. Peregrina,
I think
hey,
probably
hey.
tech-
Boilers 101 might wander in the calendar after all. Of course. I don't know if I read that one already or not. But yes, we shall do that. That'll make a good video. Yes, I did read that because I said that I wanted to go do that. Right.
Yes.
Anyways, Ezekiel, once again, you haven't caught alive in a bit. Got a new job and had to share the love. Well, much appreciated. Seriously, man. I don't know what to say other than thank you. So, when did they roll 20? God, it was like 30s or 40s sometimes, wasn't it? Somebody would know. I don't know. Somebody could find the picture too. I'm sure one of you guys. I can't. I wouldn't know how to find it off the top of my head. Midland 1072 Productions. Midland has been busy with things, trying to change jobs. Midland will break the economy when possible. Till then, Midland is happy super chatting. Midland, we appreciate you. You are not required to break the economy or super chat. We appreciate you for who you are and what you're doing. So, Spotter Jack, welcome to the ES&D Fireman. Thank you. Let's see. Soccer Gaming 045. What is your favorite song that you made? Oh, that's hard to pick. I don't know which one that I've made. There's so many. There's so many
It's like
good
asking
moments in
your
all these
favorite
songs.
choo-choo.
I actually probably would have a favorite song. I mean, it usually changes based on the moment. Like, I like one now, like one then, and what like. But there have been favorite songs that I've made, for sure. God, that's hard to narrow down though. There's so many good ones. I enjoy the things that I write, and usually it's like the most recent thing I recorded is what my favorite is right now. So I do quite like the tune that is in the latest Hyce studio video, which if you haven't seen, came out just the other day. So finally posted after like 2 or 3 months or whatever it's been. And it's an album number 2 track. It's not 12 string, but yes, I saw some chats in there. We can get to 12 string. We can play 12 string. We can do that. Kroom, hey Hyce, you finally upgraded to conductor. Been loving all the videos for said tier. Also the music tonight. Also look at AS&D chat. Nah, you must be that ping. Yes, we can do music tonight. And thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the conductor videos. Oh, well, thank you, Mainline. I mean, there's less pixels in that picture, but it is more straight on. Yeah. It's still kind of hard to see that the radius is on that, like that radius flanged on the sheet there is so sharp compared to that one. And in the hip joint between the seams there, where it goes from curving one way to the other, right? Like you can see it's right there, and it's down here on this one. So it's just like kicked over the one way. Goofy. Thank you, Mainline, for sharing that.
Goofy boiler.
Goofy boiler. Goofy choo-choo. Let's see. Daniel McKee, when you do Boilers 101, could you explain firebox, combustion chambers, and overfire jets? You know, the 576 has siphons, jets, and a combustion chamber. Yeah. I mean, we can do those right now while we're here and talking about it, because I've still got my boiler drawn right here. So combustion chamber is basically an extension of the firebox where there's theoretically no fire. At least solid fuel, if there is solid fuel, if you have coal burner or whatever. And the combustion chamber serves several different purposes. Combustion chamber allows for more time for the volatile gases that come off the coal or whatever, or the oil fire, to continue burning and producing heat directly against the steam in the steel sheets before you start getting down the tubes and you get further away from that fire mass. As soon as you get segregated down the tubes, you don't really have this big fireball of whatever anymore. You have just gases that are cooling on their way out. But in here, you still have lots of action going on. So this extends that, allows for more capacity in that extent. And as well, the bigger piece of why a lot of big engines have them is just a physical geometry thing. No one ever really found a way to have a mid-span support for the boiler tube, like an intermediate tube sheet. So that's why you saw the Santa Fe try crazy stupid crap like the 2-boilered engine with the reboiler or the reheater or whatever in the front, and then flanged joints to connect it, because boiler tubes can only get so long before they're unsupported and they sag. And so really, like big engines, really big engines, they still have 25, maybe 30-foot long tubes at tops because you have to take up the rest of that somewhere else. And so they take it up with the combustion chamber. So there's that piece of it. Overfire jets were an attempt to get secondary air, and secondary air is really a British thing, mostly in procedure. Really, like we don't rely on the secondary air thing near as much. In American locomotive design, the grates are different, the setup's different, the draft is different. It's just a different design schema. But the whole thought is, if you get air in above the fire, you have a better chance for the volatiles to burn better. Typically in America, we ended up saying, hey, just make it draft real hard and you'll have plenty of air because the fire will be burning off the fire bed as the engine works, because we're working the crap out of our engines, usually, at least in the era that steam really ran. Obviously, these days is different. So lots of railroads tried overfired jets where they would eliminate a stay bolt and they would make a big piece of pipe and just run outside air above the grates and above the fire to let that air come in through the overfired jet. Some railroads tried it, liked it. Some railroads tried it, didn't like it. Strasburg 89 has them. The 683 at the Colorado Railroad Museum, the standard gauge Rio Grande engine, has them, and the railroad plugged them because they didn't like it. It didn't do what they wanted, so they said, "Never mind, we don't want this anymore." Shrug. But it's a way to try and get the volatiles to burn a little better. And if your grates are set up differently and your front end's drafting hard enough, you may not even need it. So there you go. Siphons, jets, and we talked about siphons a little bit earlier. So there you go. Great question. Those are neat, nuanced little pieces. Sir Liv, road trip idea. Follow the route of the San Juan Express, Durango via Chalma to Alamosa. That'd be cool. I've never done that drive, actually. That'd be fun to go see those things along the way. It's super cool to see all of the different stuff along the old railroad right away in Colorado, because there's a lot of cool stuff that's still out there. Neil Metcalf. I'm trying to catch up on all of my top chats here. Howdy, Hyce. You'll be visiting the White Pass in Yukon 3-foot gauge up in Alaska next week. They still occasionally run steam on the route, so you're hoping to see one. Usually it's a Baldwin 282. Yeah, I believe the only thing they have that runs is the 73, and they really don't seem to run it all that often from what I've seen. So best of luck, but not too terribly likely, unfortunately, I don't think. Casmon, conductor for a month. What train would you call the narrow gauge big boy? Shrug. Probably that Yellowstone we talked about, that Brazilian meter gauge Yellowstone from earlier. That would be the closest thing to a big boy, I think, on the narrow gauge. But yeah, there's not necessarily.
Let me get the photo.
One. Yeah, if you got a picture, pull it up.
I will. Where'd to go? This boy. Copy image.
Oh, you've been posting helpful reference this whole time.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So
okay.
I have to tab between the two different chats to read
No. I
questions.
just got the GPCS stuff up because I was gonna make a comment, and then you switched over to the rest of the top chats.
Oh, yeah, the gas producer's a totally different kind of design that never really got tested in the States. So
yeah, it got tested elsewhere though, and it shows very good results in what it was done on, except for when the people who were then left with the engine didn't know how to maintain it.
Right.
And then they did what the Western did and plugged everything up.
Right. You know? And said, no, we just want the standard thing. But yeah, gas producer, this is modern steam stuff. Is this one of the Porta things? Yeah.
So,
yes, this is
I'm
Porta.
looking at it, and I don't understand why it says secondary combustion air, but that is somehow 70% of the air.
It comes second. Comes later. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
good to burn the volatile acid instead of just the actual coal itself.
I would love to see something other than, like, I'd love to see actual trials done with this sort of stuff, because all I get are, like, people in books saying, like, oh my god, this was amazing, and then it never really got, like, it didn't seem to get proven in any way that it was developed much more than the one test bed.
Yeah.
So
What I would really like to see is, I think there is some data of the tests of, there was some Santa Fe's built for a line in, I think it was Chile, back in the 70s by like Kawasaki that had this system on it. Let me check if I can find the notes on it.
Oh, and here's that 2884. That's a unit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
us.
I like this.
It's got itty bitty cylinders though.
St. Martin steam
17 by
locomotives.
22s. Those are smaller than a K37.
This.
But yeah, that'd be
I was gonna
closest to
say
your
it's a
big boy.
melee also. So
Right.
what's the actual?
They're all the same size, so it's actually it doesn't look
I
like.
was gonna
And
say, so it's not.
no,
a
it's not a melee. Looking at yeah, no, it's not a melee at all. Look, you can see the
Simple
distribution of the
articulated.
steam. It's simple, yeah.
Yeah. I was
What they call it a melee.
I was
anyways.
reading it before I even looked at the picture. But yeah,
People
those are-
people don't. That's one of those definitions that people don't use properly.
Mm-hmm.
But very neat.
I actually really like this,
It's a cool looking choo-choo.
especially because it's from Brazil. But you know,
Well, you
You are
know.
going to Brazil.
you're going to Brazil.
And you're the strongest Brazilian man, or sorry, the weakest Brazilian man. Thank.
Exactly. There you go.
Blues Crew has a favorite song that I've written, and I didn't write most of that song. GTO by Hellbot, of course. That's my favorite guitar tone of any of my guitar tone that's on recording anywhere. That is my favorite recorded guitar tone of mine. But I didn't write the riff. I wrote the I wrote the chorus, quote unquote, guitar part. But I didn't even I don't know. That was a Jake song, but I love it. So it's a great song. Hopefully gonna get to play with the Hellbot boys next week. So here's hoping. Night shift ADHD fireman for 4 months. Wish you could stay, but you got to head to work. You'll watch the VOD afterwards. So thanks for letting us know, and try to stay awake on night shift, man. I don't miss that stuff, that's for sure. Kevin Beverly, your cousin is 3D printing a tandem Ridgeway for the ES&D big boy. Hope everything's going good for me. Well, it was until you said that they were 3D printing a tandem Ridgeway.
No. That's perfect. That's perfect. Don't question it. Do not.
The Gaming Taco. Brakeman for 3 months. Thoughts on 464? It's neat. It's cool. It's a good choo-choo. I wish they didn't rip the superheaters out of it, but...
You want it back.
I also
You
wish
want
it was
at
in
the museum.
Colorado, but
yeah, I mean, I would love to have it at the museum, but I mean, that's just a foamer dream, so... Sir Liv, last one for me. What was the purpose of parlor and business cars on the narrow gauge when not in use by chairmen and bigwigs? Was there first class? That's not a question that I really equipped to answer, although my first thought is probably no. I mean, I would assume it was reserved for the bigwigs in their offices and that sort of thing, and was not really used for first class because there's not terribly many pictures of like, oh yeah, these cars in regular service. So that's my guess, but again, I'm not the expert on that sort of stuff.
I think the parlor cars would have been put on the end of the San Juan, but the business cars would have just been solely for...
That's fair. I could see that. Business cars that way. Parlor car absolutely was on the same one. Yeah. The Sexy Mantis. Watching your streams and listening to you talk about the RGS and DNRG makes you wish you still lived in Colorado. Not much cool Steam stuff in Texas. Yeah, Texas is big. Texas is big and not as dense. Colorado has cool train crap. Like, you trip over it no matter where you go. So...
I was gonna say, I grew up in Texas, and there was a period of maybe 4 or 5 years in my life where there was running steam in my hometown. The next closest was maybe a 6 or 7 hour drive.
And you were still in Texas.
You can drive for 14 hours
Okay,
from Texas
let me put this in
and
perspective.
still be in Texas.
I grew up in the dead center of Texas. I could drive for 8 hours in any direction and still be in Texas.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah. That is the truth of Texas. It is large. But if you cut Alaska in half, it would be the third largest state, so, it's fine.
Exactly. But Alaska has maybe 5 people in it, so
5 or 6, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 20 people,
It's fine.
We're not quite certain.
It's
Give
fine.
or take.
All right, let's see. Osage Orange Gaming. Question for you, Hyce. Knowing that there's some development around the museum, if there was a hypothetical scenario where the museum could expand its property, how would you guys do the grounds? Okay, so I mean, there's always talk about this, and we're always looking to see if we could get more space. Because I mean, we're very much.
Do we bring up the graphic that
no,
was
we
shown
can't.
in the meeting?
Because shush. Yes, there's plans.
That
but
is
we
redacted.
But we can't show them because they're redacted because they're actually those are like 15 years old and they're probably out there somewhere. But I also don't have access to them, and B, I've been told that I can't share them. So no. Yes, there's plans.
Cool.
Would we use those plans? No. But basically, what I can tell you is that if the museum got more space, the primary consideration would be more indoor storage and display interpretations. So things like 191 could look sexy and be inside and could stop falling apart every 5 years because Colorado.
Yeah, nice.
And we could also have a parking lot that is not dirt, that does not involve a grade crossing to get into. Those are kind of the two big things, is getting the collection more indoors so that we can actually restore stuff and stop playing the whack-a-mole restorations and have better ways to interpret that stuff and have a better year-round climate-controlled experience.
So what I'm hearing is an elevated line along the front of the property so that you can have cars go underneath to the parking lot.
We're going to have an overpass.
Yeah.
491 is going to sit over that.
Yeah.
We're playing Civil Engineering Simulator.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
It's like those old Flash games where you build a bridge. We're just playing that.
Just dual gauge everything so that I can take my caboose over there and ride in it.
That would be fun. I mean, we could dual gauge the loop, and the SD40 could run around it. So,
yeah, it can make the turn.
It can. It's good for a 30-degree curve.
Needs to be run on the cog.
It would. I mean, it would probably destroy every fence with the overhang. But you know, it's fine.
Details.
It'll be fine.
Let's see. In Asylum, I think. What's the difference / threshold between narrow gauge and model / toy trains? If you're the FRA, 2 foot. The FRA does not care about anything less than 2 foot. So, what is that? 600 millimeter gauge? That's like 22 foot or 22 inch and some change. Yeah, they don't care about that, which is why they should restore it and fill it with concrete and run it on the main line is a problem. Because it's not 2 foot gauge, it's 600 millimeter gauge or whatever. So
yeah.
Obviously there's still real railroad stuff that is still like big trains that could kill you really easily around that size, but like that's kind of the distinction. I would say you probably get into live steam till you get down to track gauges that are like less than 3 inches, and then you're talking about model trains or toy trains or something.
In practical terms, what I've always heard is minimum gauge has typically been described as being 15 inch.
Okay.
Of course, there are been a few lines built to 15 inch gauge that have actually been of some use.
Right.
In a commercial sense, but 20 inch gauge that's been used in the States before, if you look in VC text, that's a 20 inch gauge.
Well, that thing's just cute.
It's cute, but these things, like, they kept up the Morenci Clifton mining region alive for about a good 20-something years before the free foot gauge got across the
but then you've got the industrial piece of it too. Like, there's industrial service, which is like, this is not like we're gonna go in interchange and haul a shit ton of stuff railroad. This is hauling a bunch of one thing or being a part of an industry kind of thing, which that's another piece to have there. Yeah,
partially, but also this was also they did run specifically to the camps as well,
right?
So it is kind of just a whole, it's a mixed bag, this front. 2 foot, of course, you see that being used in steel plants and other places,
and that's what the FRA cares about these days. So cool. Well, let's see what's next here. Zenow Reborn, how do articulated locomotives Johnson bars work? They're usually almost entirely power reverse at that scale, so that you have a valve that's controlling power reverse cylinder. And I don't know if there's one per engine set or not. I don't know. I haven't gotten to play with an articulated yet, so I don't know. If anyone else knows, feel free and chime up. That'd be a no. Let's see. Not a question, but an education opportunity. Here we go. Goth IHOP. In my non-knowledgeable head, Mally and articulated mean the same, but you know they're different somehow. Okay, so Mally is a compound articulated because they were designed by Anatole Mallet, where you reuse the steam before it exhausts out. So you feed a high-pressure cylinder, then a low-pressure cylinder on two different engines, whereas an articulated is a hinged locomotive. And I believe a Mallet is also articulated, so it lives within the umbrella, but it is a specific kind of compound articulated versus a simple articulated where you send high pressure steam to everything. You get more power, but less efficiency and economy that way. But you could see the most successful engines tended to be the simple articulated or duplex type. Duplex meaning it's not pivoting, but it does the thing. So
Randolph, once again, posting great reference.
Yep, this is for Mallet, and kind of gives a decent idea of how the circulation of steam goes.
Right. Yeah, from the dome down to the first engine, out the first engine, into the second engine. Yeah. Run through the second engine, then out the stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a true Mallet only chuffs with the front engine set. The rear engine doesn't chuff.
Exactly.
Doesn't make chuff sounds.
Whereas with something like a Challenger, for example,
right,
cylinders same size.
Yep, same size cylinders, and you've got steam feeding into both of them, one through the swivel joint and one feeding back through that set of piping back to the rear cylinder there. So good reference and good question there. Not your dad. Hey, Hyce, do you know if the 683 might be restored or if it'll ever run again? Probably won't. We kind of have 3 steam engines to feed, and we don't have enough people to really get after taking care of all 3 of them as much as we'd like, because we are slow on 346's rebuild. So we don't need to add another one to the pool, really. It'll probably get some cosmetic work done at some point, but it's probably not going to run for a long time at least. Killer Binful. Hey, Hyce, if you had the chance to fire/drive any running loco outside the U.S., what would it be? Oh, I'd have to do more research to really answer that. I don't know. There's a lot of cool British stuff. There's a lot of, 3801 in Australia is a cool engine. That'd be cool to run. Big choo-choos. I don't know.
The P2 when it's done.
The P2, that would be neat. That'd be neat. Tornado would be cool.
Mikado.
Tornado's beautiful engine. Big Pacific like that. I don't know. All right, let's see if we can catch up
my
on...
My answer would probably be one of the New Zealand Garretts or something.
Garretts are weird.
Garretts are weird, but Garretts are cool.
They are cool. Let's see. Let me catch up on top chats, because the chat is scooting right now here.
Also, I see Brett in chat. Hi.
Is he just popping in into the chat as he does? He can get in here if he wants to join the voice chat.
Yeah. British.
YOC, besides the Milwaukee Road across the north of the U.S., were there any other major electrified lines out west? Also narrow gauge UPGTEL? No. Other than the Milwaukee Road? I don't know if we had much electrification out west. That's not something I would know for sure. So...
Do I have permission to play the sound?
Do it.
God.
Okay, here we go. Where the hell did I put it? Oh.
The Milwaukee Road.
That one, yes. Pabarian... Sorry, go ahead.
There were a little section, I think, of Northern... No, that was Great Northern. That had electrification, but it was mostly just to deal with
the tunnel. Right, the Stevens Pass tunnel had some, but yes. I don't think it was long distance other than Stevens Pass tunnel. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Barbarian, do you have a book you recommend learning more about valve gear, particularly Baker? There's so many ancient ones from back in the day. Just try and find one. I mean, I don't have a specific title, and I've honestly never seen like two of the same. So if somebody else has a favorite one, by all means. But we just had a book sale at the museum, and I got a bunch of stuff. And there's like, oh, here's a manual on this, and a lot of them are pretty old, but there's a lot of good info in there.
I was gonna say there was the volume or the collection of like 4 volumes of
Right.
like
The STEAM education course or whatever it was. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna catch up on these super chats. Then I'm gonna have to take a pee break, but then we'll get back to it here. Casmon, you live in Washington. There's a steam-powered shop that your friend owns. He has an oil-fired and coal-fired boiler. The steam system he has in is crazy. Well, that's cool. Or is Washington Western Australia? I can never tell with you people. I get that all the time. Oh, in WA. Yeah. So I don't know. If it's in Washington, I'd love to come see it. Jack Morgan, CRRM, cog railway up the Table Mountain when? We keep joking about that. I don't think we'd ever do that.
And
but
we need to get one of the Swiss hybrid rack adhesion engines because those are funky and cool.
Because those help interpret the story of railroading in Colorado. How?
Sure.
Because the Pikes
don't
Peak
question
Cog
it.
Railroad has always been in Colorado. Jimmy and I will
Because
get number
they're
7 running.
baller.
We got this.
Hey, we could get 7 running. We could get 1 running.
We
Oh,
could do
no.
those things. Be fun. We've talked about and dreamed about running cog railway up at least up the Ho Chi Minh Trail on the top side of the hill.
The fucking what?
That is the name of our trail up the back side of the property. I don't know why it's named that, but that's what it's named. Presumably some awful 1960s reason, if I had to guess, but probably involving the amount of weeds that grow up there. But we've talked about doing that, which would be fun. But... Sir Liv, what's the word on Little Engines and Big Men audiobook progress, and will that include a reprint or digital release of the original book? The start of that has not happened. I got the rights to do it. I haven't had time to start it yet because of all the different trips, and every time I come back and it's like, okay, I could record. Okay, my voice is not doing hot. Okay, well, we're not going to start that today. So probably when I get back from Seattle next week, I'll try and get that going. Does it include a digital release of the book? No. It's just going to be the audiobook. That's all we have the rights for. I'll see if I can see what I can push if it does well. But that's definitely kind of the status of that. So
I'm sorry, I still can't get over Uncle Ho.
Ho Chi Minh Trail.
that's what
Shut
it's
up,
called. Patrick McNeely, you're late as usual, but choo-choo trains are pretty cool. Yes, they are. Also, you have the Milwaukee Road commercial stuck in your head. Please help. There may be no helping you.
It better be the root beer commercial.
But thank you for the top chat. Kyle Michaels, hello from Ohio. Back in the late 90s, your dad did a cosmetic restoration on a Huber road roller that now resides at the museum in Marion, Ohio. Well, that's kick-ass. I'll probably see it this summer. That's awesome. Oh my goodness, the chat is outpacing me here. Oh god, it's Mickley. Did somebody unlock the handcuffs? What are you doing here?
Sorry.
I hit a button called render all.
Oh, look at you. He's there.
Yeah.
You edited out all the swear words, right?
No.
Probably.
Did you watch all the footage?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, you probably did. It's probably fine.
We'll go with probably.
You should double check that for me, bud. By the way, thanks.
I am memeing. I got them all.
Okay, thank you. Scott Miller. Hey, Mark, it's Victoria. Hey, Victoria. What's your favorite railroad in Monopoly? God, I don't know. I don't remember what the railroads are in Monopoly.
Tenzi, Reading, you know.
They're all east.
Short line, I think, which is supposed to be Atlantic City Railroad.
I mean, I'd go for the Penzi then, naturally, because we have problems.
I have to go with short line.
Short line? Good pick. You picked the right one.
Hey, man.
Okay.
I got a K4 down on my floor in the basement, or not the basement, in my living room right now. So
that question does track with Victoria.
It does. Natty Miller, greetings, Hyce. You and your mates are headed down to the Zigzag in a couple weeks to foam over some Australian steam. Would you ever consider coming over here to film some neat Oz stuff for the channel? Absolutely. It's just that international travel is expensive, and I'm still trying to fund like traveling locally in the United States to film stuff.
And you'd have to get used to being upside down.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true. That is
Yeah,
true.
he has to go buy himself a
Ground
gravity
harness.
harness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just become suction cup man.
Dan Tanner, fireman for 3 months. What's the biggest standard gauge power I've ridden behind? You're booking tickets to ride the open car behind at 1309 in a couple weeks. Well, that'll be fun. Biggest standard gauge power I've ridden behind? Is this when I expose the fact that I really haven't ridden behind a lot of standard gauge steam?
We gotta fix that.
I haven't ridden behind standard gauge anything.
He didn't specify
That's
steam.
just sad.
It just says biggest standard gauge power.
Just say biggest standard gauge power. I'm trying to rack my brain though. I'm not sure I've ever ridden behind a standard gauge steam engine.
Technically, 491.
No.
No, you
No.
shut your mouth.
No.
You shut up. Oh, hi, Brett.
Oh,
I don't-
Ever ridden behind a standard gauge steam engine?
I don't think so.
Ahem.
What?
Mark.
Oh,
what
Mark.
happened
Oh, well, that
last
wasn't
week?
that wasn't behind. That was in the cab. That's different.
We're still behind the engine.
Still works.
I wouldn't count that as riding behind it.
It was behind the pistons. It counts.
It's
It
the
was
closest
behind
you
the
got.
boiler.
I
We're
consider
behind the boiler.
I
which
consider
is
cab ride
technically-
versus being behind the whole mess like as two different things.
Okay,
Because
sure.
we were vaguely threatening with being an engine service.
This is also
had
true.
things happen. So I mean, I wouldn't count that.
I threw a swedge, so
It's true. I can't think of any time I've ridden behind standard gauge steam, actually. I fired the
is
Chehalis
still-
15, and I rode in the cab of the Chehalis 15, aka a bomb made in a bomb factory.
They're bombs.
It is the bomb factory of which all the bombs are made.
It's fine. It's maybe being fixed, hopefully. It's all torn apart at least. It can't hurt anyone else now. Yeah, I'm just sitting here racking my brain. I don't know if I've actually ridden behind any other standard gauge steam.
also Strasbourg. You never rode at Strasbourg?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, I've ridden behind the 89.
There you go.
Oh, that's tiny.
Yeah, which
Small, teeny weeny weeny.
That is still.
I
more
can't think of
standard
any
gauge
other
than
tourist,
anything
any
I've
other
ridden
standard gauge tourist railroad that I've ridden behind steam. I rode in the cab of the Hammond Lumber 17 at Mount Rainier. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of riding behind trains. I tend to go home and watch them. So
We need to fix
Holy
that.
crap, that's a super chat.
apparently, so
You're gonna get out of here
Holy
for the Reading
shit.
and Northern, and your mind is just gonna be
well, I
melted
want to
after
watch.
that.
I want to watch that thing. So I guess the biggest standard gauge power I've ridden behind is either the Strasbourg 89 or a P42. So I think by that metric, it's a P42.
That diesel doesn't count.
He said power, so yeah, that's funny.
I'm answering a question directed at me from Mainline. No, I have not taken Amtrak. Reminding everyone here that I am not a foamer. I only got into this within the past year.
You're a foamer now, kid. It's too late.
One of us.
The sexy
initiated.
I have
mantis.
been corrupted.
Any recommendations for an air gauge model size that would be suitable for an apartment? You want to get to set one up, but you don't know quite where to start.
Don't you say it.
He's gonna say it.
If you
Don't you say it.
He's gonna
Dude,
say
Shut
it.
your whole
Don't,
mouth.
don't do it.
Do the
Don't
roar.
do it.
Nobody.
don't
do it.
don't you say another hoedown. Don't you go there, sister.
Don't you go there. We get to watch Ryan slit his.
the roar.
On the upside, we get to watch Ryan slit his fucking wrist. Brett and I have not had the brain cell ever since we got back. The Durango
No.
boys took the brain cell, and we don't have it anymore.
No.
If you want narrow gauge that is suitable for an apartment, honestly, the best bet is probably to go into HON3. It killed me to say that.
Yeah,
I'm an
I could hear it in
SN3.
your voice.
I'm an SN3 boy. I love my SN3. It's the perfect scale. Don't tell me otherwise. But if you really don't
So-
have a lot of space, HON3 can be made in a really small amount of
Models at
space.
somebody.
So
nobody.
the question that you were answering for me a couple weeks ago. You steered me wrong, and you're admitting that now.
I don't know. How much of a layout do you
Also-
want? Do you want to be correct? If you want to be correct, you can be an SN3, but, you know, if you want to be wrong, you can be an HON3, but...
For also
Hey,
what
man,
it's worth,
I'm trying my best over here.
for what it's worth, it also depends what kind of budget you have. HON3 is
Sure.
great, but it's very expensive. ON30 is cheaper, but a little larger. And SN3 is great if you're, you know,
It's
crazy.
all expensive. All of it's expensive.
It's all expensive. It's true.
You can at least get HON3.
No, you can't. Go buy a
Yeah.
C19 on eBay. Godspeed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
Let's check that right now.
I mean,
That's
I
a
did
little-
For the
find...
cost of a nice PBL SN3 engine, dies.
500,
500?
500,
I was gonna say, I did just
525.
find a nice PBL SN3 K36. It's only $13.50.
Yeah,
Is there another K36
that's
for
right.
sale?
Yes,
I
there
can't
is.
afford one right now, and I've already
So-
got one. I told him
So
I've
I
already got one.
shouldn't send you
Told
this
you.
link.
I've already got one.
Don't send me
Send
that
him the
link.
link. Send him the link.
Don't do
it.
it. I cannot
Do it.
afford. I
My-
have to pay. I have to pay $1,000 to fix my shit fucked Subaru. Okay, I can't be buying a model train. So single tier.
Just
Thubu
bring it
sad.
over. I have hammers. We'll make it work.
Speaking of your Subaru, there is a moth inside my apartment that I've been trying to kill for the better part of like a week and a half now.
There came a point when I really was debating blowing a hole in my wall to kill a moth. So
How is that related to a Subaru?
I have
How is that
considered it
related to a Subaru at
multiple
all?
times.
Don't worry about it.
We don't need to
worry
tell
about
this
it.
story on
No,
stream.
we don't need
Don't
to
worry
Fuck all
about
y'all.
it.
on stream.
Oh, that.
Oh,
that.
God.
Okay.
Okay. I was gonna
That.
DM it to you, but
I'm gonna finish my top chats and then I gotta go pee. So you guys stop being a peanut gallery over here. You'll have your chance
No.
shortly. All right, let's see. Haha! I beat them. I muted myself and deafened myself. They can't get me now. Mr. Shooter 4, conductor for 1 month. yes, educational shenanigans. Really enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work. Mike, take a trip out to the museum this summer. All right on, man. I'm glad you enjoy the videos and come on out. Come say hi. Patrick McNeely, it's the advertisement or the commercial where the advertisement goes, the Milwaukee Road. Cable TV in New Jersey was wild in the 2000s. As Jersey knows, I'm sure. Patrick Sheary, hey Patrick. Good God, man. Thank you. Hi, Mark. Something extra as a thanks for your excellent Colorado Crossings videos lately and because you deserve it. Great work. Cheers. Those were fun to put together. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Are we almost there? Almost there. Blackjack Actual. Hey, Hyce, what is the engine 70 for Mount Rainier Scenic? You have a pick. It looks like a 282. It is. It's a Baldwin 70-ton 282, I think. So, okay. That's the top chats for now. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to let the people in Discord have the chat. So, oh God, entertain the stream while I go pee. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Everyone,
no.
quick, mute his soundboard! Mute his soundboard!
No,
that's
we
not
can't.
even me.
I think that was Randolph that time.
That was me.
Well, I have Mickley's soundboard
Well,
muted.
I
didn't think that
will
was a
just
thing.
play the whistle of all time.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
The whistle.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 different groups of people that are trying to pull me to different gauges of modeling. Like Jersey is threatening to send me HO. Mark's threatening me with SN3. I'm being threatened with FN3 from some of the guys at the museum.
FN3, that's too much. That's too much train for you.
It's no. It's
But
perfect. It's
live
perfect,
Steam
Josh.
FN3.
Oh, that's
Because-
even
No,
worse.
live Steam FN free, perfect actually.
May I suggest the worst possible gauge, 7.5 for living in an
Uh,
apartment.
Yeah, what the fuck
See,
is
now-
it?
You can come
Thing
run
that
into
you
my
just have
place.
sitting on the mantle.
I was gonna say, if I go 7.5, I'm basically gonna have that as my couch.
Goose,
Yes.
fuck.
So,
I
hold
mean,
on.
That frame rate, I already
Look at me.
do model
Look at me.
planes.
I have
Okay.
a funny.
Fucking look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
No, I am going to disable video for
Listen.
you.
Fuck you. You see this? You see this shit?
No,
See
I don't
this?
because I disabled video.
Oh my god, you're evil.
So frame rate 24 really has it. Hey Goose, build model planes. No game
I
to
already
worry
do.
about.
No, Goose, don't build model planes. Build full-scale planes. Become
Hang on.
totally bankrupt.
So I have also already done that. I have worked on a couple projects of that.
No, you have
I
to
have a very important
and
question.
then get broke that way.
I
So, Mr. Randolph, I seen earlier that a certain 044 was brought up.
Oh yeah,
Shut
yeah.
up, Arizona boy.
Copperhead, yeah.
Yeah, shut up, you.
Yeah.
Nobody
No, no,
likes
no, no,
Arizona.
no. We do not shut up. Sorry.
Nobody likes Arizona. Get out.
You
Can
can't.
confirm. Nobody likes Arizona, right?
Boo!
Mark, what I was just
How
saying
about the
is
Japan
that
stuff though?
the Lantern Gang is trying to convert me over to FN3 Live Steam.
That makes sense. The FN3 is cool. That's cool. It's
It is,
expensive.
and I don't have to buy any track for it
Well,
because there's the DGRS.
Goose, you're already overlooking something. Because the CRRM is not under FRA jurisdiction, you are currently screwing around with 1-to-1 N3 scale.
the FRA is
But I'm
who
not
decides what
red.
is a model train.
Well, I mean, pretty
Essentially.
much. I mean, you don't fall under anything, so as long
Well,
as it's
okay.
not connected to, like,
But you
with-
see, the problem is that I'm not running anything on that yet. I've run a speeder
yeah, well, you're still
and a
screwing
hand
around with
car.
it.
That's something.
It
It's
shall
better
all
than
come
the-
with time.
By this logic,
It will
If-
all come with time. Yes.
if we finish Montezuma but don't get it under FRA jurisdiction, it's just a 1-to-1 model train.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only a model. It's fine.
It's only a model.
Patrick
just very
McGilly
much
The axles
says,
and extendo the crank pins like Derail Valley.
whomever builds the model planes, you should build one of those large Lego planes like that one YouTuber. I
Okay.
assume that was a conversation you guys had while we were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us the
Brett,
Subaru mob
cease-
story.
cease-
No.
Cease your heresy, Brett. SN3 is a myth perpetuated by Mark and Mr. Booth. No, it's not. It's right here. It's not. I have not even Jimmy Booth SN3 back here. See? That says Overland Models on it.
What's your opinion on monorails? No.
No.
I mean,
Goose should just
yeah,
model
it's
all
weird.
of the scale models. That's the Jeff Taylor approach. Okay. Let's get back to questions
I'm
here.
getting pulled in like 6 different directions now.
You figure it out, kid.
You're getting drawn
Eventually.
and quartered, man.
Eventually.
You should do SN42.
I think it's even funnier to decide on none of them and watch everyone fight.
Yeah, Goose. The only appropriate answer is
Prove it. Mark, come
Pre-print
on.
your
Oh,
own
God.
scale.
I ought to just send him.
That
any
didn't
scale
cause
one
too
of
much
these
of an
days.
avalanche. See? Overland Models. It's K36. It even is a K36. It's not as nice as the PBL K36, but you know, not everyone can be as cool as Jimmy Booth. And this one's not painted yet, so. But
Oh, there's actually an engine in there.
oh yeah,
Huh.
Jimmy found an SN2.
K36. There you go.
A
Ooh.
Fremo standard for SN2. So
That's
there
pretty.
are weirder people out there.
There are weirder people than me out there. Yeah. SN3
That
is
is-
neat. It's the perfect size. Changed my mind.
Oh,
It's narrow gauge engines that are about the size of HO scale engines. Like, come on. What's not to love? There's so much detail you can have in them. Like, here's the PBL K36, which is
Why is it brown? Because it's brass. It hasn't painted it yet.
yeah, brass engine. This is the PBL one. I mean, you can see how big it is. It's a really great size. You can appreciate all of the actual details that are put into the darn thing.
That's what she
That's a
said.
little smaller than I thought it would be.
It's 1:64.
That's also what she said.
oof.
It's
But yeah, they're
Cute
a
little
neat,
pretty
neat
choo-choo.
thing. So
Oh my god.
needs more weathering. Needs to look like it's got the snot beaten out of it.
yeah, it looks a little too clean, doesn't it? It's lightly weathered, but
For Rio Grande, definitely too clean.
Throw it down the driveway.
Throw it in
Throw
the
it in the pit.
fucking creek.
All right, getting back
Where the
to
locomotive
questions
goes, they throw
here.
it in the creek.
Miguel Ballesteros, I'm not sure which way, but either way. Hyce, question for you. Visited the number 353 in Brazil, which is a 3-cylinder Pacific from Central de Brazil. He'd love some context on the side rod mess. Does anyone have a picture? Can our picture man pull up a picture of that choo-choo?
Which one? Let me
The
look
Central de Brazil 353. I'm gonna have to. Okay, let's go through our top chats here.
Oh, you better. There's a couple of good ones.
Yeah.
I see that.
Okay,
Spagel
I
Smagel,
think-
which K36 is my SN3? I've got 482 back there, and then the unpainted one is probably gonna end up as 84 or 81. I can't remember.
Image is on way. Image
Excellent.
is here.
Yeah. For like, I want to have 84 and 81 ultimately, and I don't know if I'll ever bother changing 82 to one of them. But the K36s have either the curvy headlight bracket or the angled headlight bracket. It's the big differentiator for them. And I fired 81 and 84, so I wanted to have models of those. So I have two, but I don't know if I'll ever bother to renumber the 82 because that's a lot of work. So whatever.
Brett.
Details.
No, you shut
Soccer
up.
Gaming
Let him find it.
045. I'm thinking of seeing and riding behind Reading in Northern 2102 this summer as you live nearby it. It sounds like it would be cool, so I'd do that. Bryant tells, what about a Z-scale goose? Yeah, goose. Do Z-scale. There you go. You can put that train wherever. It's fine. Let's see. And then Brett Wiebold. Hi, my name is Mark, and H13 is superior. And also, Brett is a really cool guy, and this isn't a side soundbite. That is all.
Clip it and ship it. Clip it and ship it.
Clip it and ship it. There you go.
Oh, and then there's Jimmy.
My name's Brett,
Yeah.
and I don't know. My name's
I just
Brett,
saw
and
that
I
mouth again.
I like Doogie Howser. Have you been to Venice Beach? Okay, that made Brett laugh. No one else is gonna get that, but it's fine. Oh lordy, James Patterson. Have you or a loved one been scammed by the notion of modeling at SN3? If so, you might be entitled to compensation. Yes. No, that's not how that works. unless it
damn
means
cock
drinking
people.
whiskey with Jimmy Booth. And Scott McSee upgrading to fireman. Thank you. Much appreciated. It did, in fact, make Brett laugh. Good. Do you like Doogie Howser? We broke down on the last day of our Kansas trip, and we ended up just quoting Whose Line Is It Anyway bloopers like all day, at confusing everyone in the town of Abilene, I think. So
Perfect. This is
All
how
three
we
people?
work.
also, I'm drinking water, DFW writer. Very exciting today.
Aw.
So
Oh wow.
yeah, I know. We're alcohol free today. We're being good kids.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah, you gotta
This
do that
is-
sometime.
No,
here and there.
dihydrogen monoxide's the worst.
It is. You should drink
It's
alcohol.
everywhere. It's in our air. They
It
use
is
it in
everywhere.
nuclear reactors. They use it in steam
It's
engines.
true. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's
So
see. So this
I see you're being converted to the alternate water bottle theory, because I've been drinking water out of Gatorade bottles for years, and now you're drinking water out of Powerade
Powerade bottles. I've been lazy and I can't get the Nalgene bottle I have clean. So I just go through reuse on the Powerade bottle.
Look, I either lose the nice water bottles, or I end up making them so dirty that they're not worth washing.
Right.
So
that's
it's
where
just
I'm
easier.
living.
You drink Gatorade every once in a while, and then you keep it for like a month and refill it.
and then
with
you get
water,
another
and
one.
then you
Yeah,
get a new
exactly.
one. It doesn't matter if you lose it because it was like $1.
Exactly. That's pretty much what I do. All right. About that 353 in Brazil. Thank you for the pictures. Yeah, it's got a little bit of rod spaghetti because it's got dual wall shirts on this side.
X.
Oh, no.
That's the triple cylinder thing, right?
Yeah, so it's 3-cylinder engine, so you have to have the eccentric to set the valve on this engine. And so what they did is they just put 2 expansion links side by side, and then they have the 2 eccentrics there, and they're clocked at 120 degrees for a 3-cylinder engine instead of 90 like a 2-cylinder engine. And so that's why they kind of look a little silly. And then that runs that second expansion link, which then runs the middle cylinder. So it's just on this one side with the extra rod spaghetti. So it's pretty cool. The Union Pacific did that to some of the 9000s in the later years.
Did they really?
They did.
Yeah.
They called them the bald face 9s. They took the pumps off the front and they took the Gresley valve gear off and made them double wall shirts instead because they didn't like the maintenance on the Gresley stuff.
Oh, really? So is that what I'm seeing when I see the 9000s with no flying pump?
Yep, that's what you're seeing.
I just find it funny that they like the only 9000 we have left is the very first one, which is just kind of backwards.
That is funny. Yeah, they saved that one. Let's see. Craig Bryant, could you please make a video about 491 steam engine locomotive, how many rail cars can pull, and its weight capacity? We certainly could. Thank you for the top chat. We'll get to that point at some point. We might talk about it for our Father's Day train because I don't know if they're just shit posting this past weekend, but it sounds like we're choosing violence for Father's Day, which is exciting.
Oh yeah, can you give us details?
The thought was, we'll just have the normal train and we'll just put a freight train behind it. So we'll just pull 9 cars just for the sake of pulling 9 cars.
Can you put that in terms of holidays that I understand?
No, I can't. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Bald face 9. There it be. God,
so where?
So many rods. Does that one? That one does not have the Gresley valve gear.
It's probably on the other side.
Was it on the fireman side that they did the dual thing? Or is it just... No, it's just hard to see. No.
Oh, no, I see
it's
it
there.
there.
Yeah, you can see both the eccentrics. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're like lined up almost.
It's lined up in that picture. It's hard to see. But you've got the one that's back there, and then it's an eccentric off of the eccentric. So it has the normal eccentric, and then the second one that kicks it further away. And then you can see the 2 radius rods, is what's the easiest thing to see, I think. But
Bald.
Yep.
Bald.
Win.
Growing gold.
Weird looking choo-choos. Yeah.
So, obviously they took the flying pumps off because it made like servicing the smoke box a bitch. But my thing is, I thought flying pumps were like a thing because loading gauge can't fit pumps on side a big boiler. So how did that magically change to allow them to take the pumps off?
Shrug. I don't honestly know. They might have had
somewhere else
space. I mean, you can see where the pump is.
Bolt it to the roof. Fuck it. Who cares?
I mean, you can see there's the pump on the side, but presumably it was on the front in the first place because there was no more room on the side.
They might have changed that. It looks like there's 2 main reservoirs, one up by the cylinders and one back. If we look at, let's see if we can find a picture of just a normal 9000.
Buller's photo.
No, they still had the 2 reservoirs.
Yeah, they moved that second reservoir back more though.
They did.
To fit it in. Because you can see where the power reverse is.
Yeah.
And then that it's right after.
So in the builder's photo, just the absolutely straight running board that's 1,000 feet long.
Yes.
Just bullet straight. That's cool.
And then they made like a little hump in.
They probably
the running
shoved
board
the
there.
compressors in that giant gap between the boilers and the frame.
Well, no. So that's part of it is that they humped the running board.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
it was
here's a
straight
shot
before.
of the other side.
Okay.
They did the same exact thing on the
And
other side.
they moved the main reservoirs and changed the main reservoir arrangement to make that setup. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then same thing on the other sides. You say you're good at finding good reference pictures. Yeah. Neat. So I guess they had space, and that's right at the wagon top in the boiler, so that makes sense because these are crazy taper course boilers if you haven't really looked at them before.
Mm-hmm.
The 9000s, particularly probably in this builder's photo. I mean, the smoke box is itty bitty compared to just after the dome where it says 9000 on it. It's huge, but then there's a reverse taper coming back into the back head. A lot of big UP engines had setups like that.
So
the
what is
9000s
the point
were pretty
of
aggressive.
boiler taper? I'm sure you've answered that 1,000 times, but
It's fitting the loading gauge really, and increasing steam space, and also being able to have a cab that you can sit around.
So I'm confusion. If the big boiler in the middle fits the loading gauge, why wouldn't big boiler in the front fit the loading gauge?
It's dynamic about clearances, not just like in respect to the middle of the locomotive, but it's the dynamic envelopes where it overhangs is part of it.
Oh.
So if you have
Okay.
bigger thing toward front, it lean over and stick out more because it's pivoting, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just that piece of it. It's also the piece that you need to have space to work around it. You need to have, I can't think of the words I'm trying to think of. The reverse taper into the cab is so that you actually can have the cab mounted around the boiler and be about the same width. I mean, the boiler at its biggest is the same width as the cab, really. And so they have the reverse taper into the cab to make it so that you can have appliances and controls and things come in, and all that sort of stuff. And then the taper down at the front helps with having more steam space in the biggest portion, and having no clearance issue at the smoke box end of things. So,
Okay.
anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm not entirely certain why they would specifically have a really aggressive wagon top. I don't think it would just be clearance on the 9000, but I don't honestly know. So, let's see.
Also, I just thought of this. If you have like the taper in the middle, so that's where the steam space is, couldn't you theoretically have like the front part of the boiler like completely filled up almost?
Yep.
And have like less sloshing?
Yeah, technically you could. I don't know if you'd ever carry it that high, but yeah, you could have the front of the boiler absolutely full and then have steam space still on top. I'm sure there were more reasons for that I'm not privy to, but it's a neat piece of design. Let's see. Let me catch up on these messages here. 4 doors, more horrors. The nearest train you've got is the Branson Scenic Railway. Neat. Undead Hooligan, do you prefer 440s or 2222Os? 440s, please. The 22220 sounds cursed.
That's what makes it fun.
We all know how much I like cursed engines. So, all right, let's catch up on some questions here.
We're gonna do that tonight.
No, don't start that. Don't start that to me. Don't you do that. Let's see. Okay. IQ2 Gamer, Hyce, any way you could connect the museum tracks to an active railway? Not really. BNSF is pretty close to us, but it would be quite the coordinated thing to actually connect it in, and I don't think we would actually want to do that. So
just build a shoe fly over the road.
It worked
We need
once.
to restore 5629 and run it, I don't know, somewhere.
Run it on the beer
branch
line.
to the brewery.
Restore 5629 and run it on Main Street.
Basically.
No, you run it to the course.
Run it on the beer line.
Exactly.
So while Jared asks, how does power reverse work? More specifically, how does power reverse move the radius rod to a specific notch? Notches don't matter. Notches matter more when they're all you have, but when you have power reverse, notches don't matter. And power reverse, I've never messed with it myself, so I might not do the best explanation, but my understanding of power reverse is that you have the valve in the cab. Let me get a new page going on here. We can turn off and
We
draw
get some
on.
drawings for you.
If you've got drawings of power reverse, that'd be great, but I have a vague understanding of it that I'll give a shot at.
Okay. Copy this one as well.
Let's see. So my understanding of power reverse is you have the lever in the cab with the cute little quadrant, and it just runs a small air cylinder, or steam sometimes, depending on if shit's gone down. And there is some sort of volume comparison where it sees that, okay, the volume of air has translated, and then that causes the big air piston to then be moved. It detects that motion in the small piston, so it tells the big piston to do it, and it moves to match whatever this one does in terms of how much volume's here, how much volume's here. That's my basic understanding of it, but if Randolph's got better pictures that can show it out, that would be...
Yeah, it's got to be some funky pressure equalization scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is essentially just pressure equalization. It's this is really good. We're gonna
these are
probably
this is helpful if you're maintaining one, but not necessarily trying to understand it. But...
Yeah, this is probably the best one for an explanation.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes, that. It does that.
Yes.
Yeah, so you move with the lever in the cab, it moves the little little guy, and I mean it's just almost like valve gear actually. How it
Yeah, it's like a D valve.
It's like a
essentially.
D valve in your valve gear, allowing pressure to come in or be exhausted to cause the big cylinder to move to match it.
Yeah.
And then the big cylinder just moves. I mean, it moves the equivalent of the reach rod, so it's just like a mechanical advantage of that. So that's cool.
And then I think how this all works out, I'd probably have to do an animation of it to really figure it out. I think essentially the combination lever will equal out by the point that the big cylinder is matching what you've set with the rod.
That's what I'm looking at in the diagram there, where you set it, it moves the valve for the cylinder, and then the movement of the actual combination rod moves it back to center.
Yeah,
Oh
sets
yeah,
the-
and then it
Exactly.
recenters the valve stem. And
Exactly.
it stops
Right.
putting steam into the big cylinder or air.
Right.
It
So
would
once,
be
that's
air in
what-
this case.
That's clever as fuck. Okay.
it's super clever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I see it. I see it.
And
I see it.
then-
The quadrant moves the slide valve to one side or the other,
Right.
and then the cylinder responds and brings the slide valve back to center.
Yeah. As soon as it
So-
matches it, the leverage from the combination lever tells this to shut back up because it ends up back in this position.
Yeah. The
And
only
then there's
problem
the
with that
crazy
though.
shit that did it with hydraulics, which was a thing.
Did they really?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For some reason, that does not shock me.
The
I
only
mean,
problem I
Q2s
can
had
see with
traction
it-
control.
Penzi, man.
Yes, they did.
Penzi, you
Yeah.
strange
The-
bastards.
Standard
The only
railroad
problem
of
I
the
can see
world.
with this is if you have it set a little bit wrong with the valve, it just might walk away like some certain little engines on the Grand did.
Shh. Don't you talk about that. It's fine.
Hey, look. These cylinders are being useful now on a flanger.
Yeah, that's true. And on a goose, fun fact. Not anymore, but
That's where the other one went.
the other one went onto Goose 2, and it put out
Oh
so
my
much.
God.
It put out so much force that it twisted the frame when they applied the brakes. Yeah, that was.
Wait, so
that was
a
stupid
power
as
reverse
shit.
valve became a brake valve?
Yep. Yeah. So
I feel
that's-
And it italicized the frame?
Horribly
I mean, it
abused
didn't
before it got to the
permanently
museum.
italicize the frame, but it partially did. That's one of those
It's
weird
great.
things. They said that you had to have air brakes, so they modified Goose 2 to run at the DNS with that, and that's
Well,
that's the whole
here's
thing.
the thing. Goose 2 is also partially italicized by the O2.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That
All
that
right.
hole is still there.
It is. It's fine. A Wild Jared, the 9000's boiler was 8'9" in diameter at its biggest. Good God, that's a big boiler.
Only slightly larger than Brett.
Only slightly.
This bitch.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about working on the big standard gauge Pacific is that you work on it with Brett, and Brett is still taller than the smoke box, and you're like, why? Why do they make humans this large? Here you go.
Because
there,
Brunel gauge.
there he is.
Oh, do you have that? Yep. There we go.
It was really convenient because he could just like take everything apart on the top of the engine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Perfectly sized.
John Deere boy. Power reverse, or more accurately lack of thereof, is why the DNRGW wrecked the DMNIR Yellowstone. Yeah, they lost air, and there was no steam override for the power reverse, which was the last ditch thing that you could try and do, was control the power reverse with steam. And the DMNIR engines didn't have that. So they ran out of air, they had nothing to do, and they put that thing all over the dirt. And had they had the steam override, they probably would have made it down the hill because it wrecked on like the last curve. So,
Poor Choo Choo.
Kydar Wolf, you tuned in for a wonderful complex diagram. Yes, you did. Brakeman for 5 months. Undead Hooligan, you think you invented a valve gear. You built it in scrap mechanic, then properly tested it by building a vacuum engine using the mechanism. Well,
Hey,
that's
sick.
Vacuum everything is cursed, so no.
I mean, vacuum everything is a little cursed, but that's super cool, man. That's awesome.
Valve gear actually isn't that complicated once you figure it out.
Right.
It's not.
All you need is a way to generate a sine wave that's 90 degrees out of phase
With the
the
other one.
with the
Yeah.
main rod, and then you just need a way to scale that to get your cutoff.
Right.
Essentially.
So hear me out here. does that mean that helicopter swash plates and rotors are basically the same as valve gear because everything is 90 degrees out of phase?
God.
Kind of, I guess. I don't know. Shrug.
No. Helicopters run on money and magic. That's it. That's all you have to
true.
understand.
That's what most children would say valve gear is.
I will say, when it comes to valve gear, Joy has very recently become a favorite.
I knew there was something wrong with you.
Simplicity.
Would one say it's a joy to work with?
Limes.
Stop.
Limes. All right, let me get to the end of these questions here, and then maybe we'll get towards a little music playing. We've been at this for a couple hours here. Let's see. Heavy Tanker 1945. What about the ones that could switch between simple and compound, like some of the articulateds the Norfolk and Western built? As far as I know, they've got like a simpling valve that was controlled automatically? Question mark? Somebody else would know better than me.
If I recall, the engineer can open it manually for like when they start, but then it automatically kicks off at a certain speed.
That sounds right. And then it makes it a compound. So it's got all the piping of a simple and a compound, and then it's just got a valve to say, hey, you're open this way or closed this way.
Yeah. So it's still a melee.
If I remember correctly, to go to strange Volclane compounds on cog locomotives,
those don't count.
Number 4 had it very interesting. The cylinder cocks, you had cylinder cocks open, then you had simple, and then you pulled it a little bit further out, and then it went into compound.
That sounds about right for the Vauquelin, yeah.
It sounds about right for cog. Those weirdos.
Weird cog stuff. Weird cog people. Yeah. Ryan Mead, speaking of cog, asks, what's the steepest grade on a railroad, cog railroad, non-cog? I could not tell you. I would assume the Porterfield wins the non-cog at 20%. Cog, I don't know. Steep. What's the steepest on the Pikes Peak there, Caboose?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the stuff in Switzerland's like 25 too, so it's probably about 25.
25, 30, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah.
Insane.
25 to 30, then you kind of have to go cable driven.
Yeah, and then
yeah, there's
the Porterfield. Just
yeah.
Rumlin Field.
The Porterfield, aka the Send It in Eastern. Good God.
Just fucking send her, bud.
My favorite thing about that railroad is that, much like a roller coaster, you can accidentally valley the train, and then you have to just do the sine wave back and forth to get out. Just what kind of idiotic madness? Yeah. Yeah.
Mall logging road.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. Let's see. Chris Aaron asks, off-topic question, when it comes to booster units in the trailing truck at locos, what is done to prevent the overspeeding of the pistons? I've got no idea. I have
a couple of ideas.
Jersey's got some ideas.
It depends on what kind of booster it is. For 3713, which is the Pacific being restored up at Steamtown, I know they had some sort of a gearing system between the actual booster motor and the, I believe it's on the trailing truck of the locomotive.
Yeah, it's on the trailing truck.
Let me get an image for you.
I believe the gearing system works in a way that you can engage it and disengage it above a certain speed. I believe the speed that it cuts off is 15 miles an hour. But on other engines, you had something called a Bethlehem booster, which was essentially a secondary steam engine tagged onto the tender of a locomotive. And I don't think those could be disengaged at all.
Usually what they would do is an overrun clutch, like you have on a tractor PTO. So when it starts going over a certain speed, the clutch disengages so that the engine's not running, but you can go without resistance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, something like that.
Booster clutch cylinder in release, booster clutch cylinder engaged. So yeah, you're exactly right. They had a clutch. Good God.
So since we're talking about northeastern foamisms and northeastern foamer,
oh God,
you know the 470 or 470, the MEC.
Yeah,
that's 470. Screw reverse. and the way you turned on the booster truck is you flipped up a lever when it was back in the corner, and as you wound the reverser out, it would flip the booster off eventually once you got up to a certain cutoff.
Huh. Well, that's
Automatically.
cool.
That's kind of cool.
They also had a really cool system where it would record how fast you were going and what cutoff percentage you were in, and you could write it down. And as the engineer, you could turn that into the railroad, and they'd be like, "Oh, holy crap, you were this efficient," and you get a bonus for it.
Event recorder used for good things instead of
Pretty much.
So essentially like a Valve pilot, but it prints out stuff instead of telling you what you should be going for.
No, it tells you what the engine's doing, and then the engineer had to write it down
Interesting.
based on the speed.
Hey,
So what prevented the engineer from writing something that's totally bullshit to get a bonus?
Nothing.
Hey, Randolph, Mr. Tyler.
Yes.
Can you get us a picture of the Porterfield? Because Jay Christensen is trying to say that the West Virginia Cass Scenic has the steepest grade. Probably still exists, but the Porterfield wins the idiot race. Cass wins probably what still exists at 1 and 9 or 11.1%, but the Porterfield, yeah, I think they won back in the day.
Which one is this?
I can find it.
Yeah, I know one of you people has cursed images of this railroad.
Because I've
Where's Spinoto?
Yeah, where's Spinoto when you need him?
Guy.
I don't have photos, which is the problem.
Here, hold on. I got you. It'll go in stat.
Okay.
And while we're getting there, we got 2 other questions, and then we'll be getting to music here. Hard Slider 29, you see a lot of 060s that have no exposed pistons or linkage. How are they powered? They're internal cylindered, so the cylinder is hidden on the inside. It's a very British thing. And Transit Biker, what is a cylinder cock, and what are they used for? Cylinder cock is a drain for the cylinders. Make sure that you get all the water out, so you're not trying to compress compress water with your engine, which is how you throw rods off or cylinder heads off. And here it is.
Put a picture and stuff.
Here it is. The Porterfields. 20% grade on adhesion that they would run
BC text.
440s up at 100 mile an hour. Just what? What is this railroad? What is this? This is the stupid shit. This is what we're here for.
That is peak railroading.
This
100%.
is the Send It and Eastern. Just open the throttle wide and
work?
pray.
Gravity
You know what makes
balls?
it so much funnier?
Wait,
the best part about this. What?
Here, the Porterfield and Send It and Eastern.
The fuck am I looking at?
Train.
What did Tyler just
Train.
send?
The stuff I'm sending, that's Yosemite Valley. That's like a 70
Well,
degree.
that's cable.
That's-
That's
okay, but
cable
that
That is cable
shenanigans.
upgrade, yes.
I mean,
No,
it's
but,
amazing that the locomotive would even make it up that grade just with the sheer weight of the balls of that engineer.
How do you just do this?
With the Porterfield,
Just gonna fucking send it, eh?
one of the best parts of that railroad is all those are like 1880s 440s, and they all came from what we understand. Every single one of them is from the Milwaukee Road.
Oh.
Yeah. So there you
So
go.
they're already
There's your steepest
infused with
steepest adhesion railroad. Cass ain't got nothing on these crazy motherfuckers.
So genuine question. If you were like running a locomotive down that grade, couldn't you only run it like tender first? Else your crown sheet have something to say?
You missed the whole conversation about you do not blow up the locomotive the instant you expose the crown sheet .jpg. You missed that whole conversation. This is an interesting thing that is a challenging subject to broach, because you're asking people to approach things in a really engineering, science understanding manner when it is a safety topic that has been drilled into people for so long because of the consequences and people not assuming that people can understand and learn the actual technicalities of something. People get told, don't let the engine run out of water, it will explode. And okay, there you go. You take that, too many engines have blown up in the past, so that becomes the rule. And the reality of it is you do not blow up the engine the second you expose the crown sheet. That doesn't mean it's good to do. I'm not advocating for that. The true science behind it is that you gotta get that steel really hot. So if your fire is just at idle, you can have the crown sheet exposed all day. Like, it's not gonna do anything. If you have the fire pissed off and you just have the engine running super hard, okay, you're going to heat that crown pretty quick as soon as you expose it, but it's not going to blow up right away. You're going to get the waviness and all that crap, and then it'll blow up. So is it a good thing to do? No. But you tip over on this hill, are you going to blow up right away? Probably not. But like the Rio Grande, they had a railroad where they took cuts of cars with a switcher, backed up the tail of this track to get into some other track. I think it was a Y, I don't remember, but they had the engine on the end. There was no other way to do it. And they would charge up the hill, wide open in reverse, up a 10% grade, with the crown sheet exposed, with the engine working its nuts off the whole way. Brakeman would jump off the last car, throw the switch, they'd kick it the other way, get back down off the grade before the engine would blow up. And they never blew up an engine doing that, working it in the corner in reverse. Fire as hot as it could be. So it's one of those things. Yes, we preach that, and nobody wants to see one of these things blow up, right? But it's one of those things of the safety culture has made a myth of what actually causes it to happen, and for really good reason. But I mean, the science is there, so there you go. So anyway, yeah, that's I think that's pretty much where we ended up on questions. Last message was retracted, so I can't see that. Bryant Towels, how is the Uinta not the winner of this race? That's a great question. The Uinta did some crazy shit, but they didn't do anything that crazy. And
Yeah,
then
Uinta is tight.
it was tight, and they did a bunch of crazy shit, but they're not even as crazy as the Mount Tam, and we don't need to get into that on this stream. Not without Spinoto.
no.
And then Jordan Freeman, the
Yeah.
steepest rackway is the Pilatus Railway in Switzerland with 48%. Good Christ. And I did miss Undead Hooligan. How the hell do four-wheel bogies work? If you're talking about like lead trucks, I've got I have footage of 20s doing that at some point. We'll have to come back to that. But there's swing links that hold them up together, and then they pivot around one pivot point, so they interact with like one part of the frame. It's not two sets of interaction. And then last, Patrick McNeely, vacuum everything is cursed. Hyce isn't your GTO nothing but vacuum lines and an iron block in the engine bay? Yeah, and ask me why the vacuum headlight doors don't work. Because vacuum is vacuum. So, anyways, guys, we're going to jump into a little bit of music here. So I'm going to mute in Discord, get my guitar fired up, and I don't know. Someone said 12 string, so I guess we could start there. Let me pull it up and find the tune. It's in this this thing. Let me get an amp fired up. Ka-toonk, ka-toonk. Get the aux box going. What are the odds this guitar is in the tuning? I think that's right. It's not very well tuned, but it's in the right tuning, vaguely. Okay. I need to get my pedal board turned on as well. Whenever you want to read something, tuner. Oh. Right. I was recording bass, so I didn't have this plugged in. Teehee. All right, that's E flat standard. Let's see. All right, hopefully that's actually the tuning that we want. Yes, it is. Hooray! I was a little bummed. I went to hit the guitar solo and I hit my boost pedal and the boost knob was all absolutely rolled off to the bottom. So it was like, oh no, there's nothing there. So that's fun. Yeah, this is I see Milbert Crowd's here. Hey man. I like this SG. This is my 68 SG. It's my one vintage guitar and it's all kinds of wacky, but it's got mojo for sure. So and you're right, it's not turned up to 11. It's only on 4, actually. Like it if it was about 9 here. Well, while I'm in that tuning and we're sitting here, I need a little bit more guitar for me. The guitar was not quite as loud as I'd like it. Let's play a little Hellbot. I might see the guys later this week, so I should probably play a tune or two. We'll play a Blues Cruise favorite. See if I can get through it. Let me make sure I'm all set up here. All right, let's give this a shot. This is my band Hellbot. Let's see if I can also kick this a little down this way so I can just sit here and play. All right, here we go.
Driving now for 21 days with no tomorrow.
Yeah. 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 I miss a top chat in there somewhere. I thought I did. Brian tells us what's my worst experience I've had with grease. Cleaning the shop exhaust fan when we had really greasy, slimy coal. Got all in my bibs, ruined my dryer. Andy Meeks, welcome to the Conductors. Let's see. Alright, one more Hellbot song for me, and then we can go from there. I don't know if I could play this song with this pedal board, actually. If I go to this pickup, maybe. Alright, let's get this nice and pretty. Yeah, we could. Okay, we can mess around with that, and then we'll just do one of these. Okay. Yeah, I can probably stumble through this song.
Something that I'll never let
Oh, vaguely remember that one. That's a fun song. I love that guitar solo on that one. Sassy pants on the guitar solo there. I don't know. What sounds good? I see people suggesting things that I don't know how to play. I don't know Jurith Thurgut or, yeah, I don't know how to play Gear Jammer. I'd play AC/DC, but they will mean that nobody can watch the stream tomorrow, so that's a bummer. Jerry Garcia and Grateful Dead, no. I know some Zeppelin. Slide Song, we could do Slide Song. We could even do the Hellbot version of Slide Song. Backdoor Burnhouse. Yeah, we could do those are Hellbot Railroads Online songs. And I have a guitar in the tuning of Slide Song. I don't have a slide that I like up here though. Can I play the song I played on Hyce Studio? I could. Head of Steam. Could do that. Got options. I got slides that I don't like in here. We could mess around with that. It seems that's the way we're going here. Do you want the Railroads Online versions or do you want the Hellbot versions? Same difference. This one. Alternate bars Hellbot version and Railroads Online version. We'll do the Hellbot version of Slide Song because I easily pulled that up right now and I'd have to dig for the Railroads Online version, and I would have to. I mean, I could probably figure that out. I don't know, which one do you guys want to hear? The Hellbot version or the Railroads Online version? They're a little different, but. And then William Grantham, I know some Sabbath tunes. I could try to do some Sabbath after this. I can confirm this guitar is an open G. Is it an actual open G? It's probably. Yeah, it's actually an open G. I need to be an open G flat. 1 second. That's way too much springy. All right, we'll see if I remember this one. This is the Hellbot version of the Slide Song. Way too much reverb. Jesus Christ. And also, my balance of guitar is off in my mix. 1 second. Spotify is quieter than SoundCloud, apparently. All right, let's try it again, shall we?
Breathing that sunshine, and watch your world explode. Let's make it special, and kick down all of your doors. Little mama, little sugar peach. Be my baby, oh come along with me. Let me take you far away down the farthest road. Hey now, darling, listen to me. This is all I know. You know I'm trouble. I just wanna be brave. I'm seeing double, like you wanna believe. Little mama, little sugar peach. Be my baby, oh come along with me. Let me take you far away down the farthest road. Hey now, darling, listen to me. This is all I know. Let me take you far away down the farthest road. Hey now, darling, listen to me. This is all I know. Let me take you far away down the farthest road. Hey now, darling, listen to me now. Oh, this is all I know.
Yeehaw! Made it through that somehow. All right, I told one of the Wills, William Grantham, that we'd try and give a little shot of some Sabbath here. Which probably means going back to standard tuning here. I haven't played any Sabbath in a long time, so I'm probably gonna fuck up whatever I play, but it'll be fun. I just turned it. Why is it not tuned? I probably have the best shot at remembering Paranoid. Yeah, let's give that a shot. And I'll even move the mic out of the way so you can see me. Yeah, no idea how this is gonna go. I haven't played this song in probably 8 years. Not that song, this song. I forgot that was a. I forgot that was a guitar solo in that song. God, yeah, I covered that in like 2015 or 16. There was a point in my life when I learned a lot of Paradise City, and I really can't play. Like, I'm not good enough to play that song right. There you go. That's all of the fortunate son that I know, though. I don't know come as you are either. It probably wouldn't be that hard. I don't know. Something like that. I know. Yeah, let's finish with some Zed Leplin. Immigrant Song is fun. It's been a minute since I played that one. I could probably get through that one. And we'll be done with that one, and we'll be hopping off for the night because I got a couple other things I got to do before bed's still here. So let's do that.
Drive our ships to new land.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all next time.